Suzuki Iruma was an ordinary boy who had a job as a tuna fish boat employee. This was thanks to his disgusting loser parents that had Iruma do their nasty work as they go off and have their own little fun. And if you thought parents couldn't get any worse like yours, they sold their one and only overworking son to a SS rank demon for their own greed. The demon, Sullivan, tells Iruma's that his soul has been bought, courtesy of his disgusting loving parents. Sullivan, feeling a bit lonely without a grandchild, practically begs Iruma to be his grandkid. Iruma, poor soul, doesn't know how to say no. Honestly, who could resist the puppy dog eyes of a demon? And here I thought my dad leaving me to go get the milk was bad, but I guess I could have been sold off to a demon instead. Regret starts creeping in, but fear not, for Sullivan, the magical decorator, turns Iruma's room into a oddly nice worthy devil den. New clothes, fresh smell, demon makeover complete. Well, I may or may not have forgotten that if Iruma happened to say no, he was gonna be eaten, but that's besides the point. Morning comes, and Sullivan, in full dad mode, snaps some pics of Iruma's first day at Devil School. Off to Babel's demon school, where hundreds of demon kids fly overhead. Iruma's thinking, phew, they still don't know I'm human. Spoiler alert, the school president already smells something fishy. A muscle-bound demon kid practices with a massive axe, aiming to impress at the entrance ceremony. The demon anthem starts playing, and surprise, Sullivan is the school director. Our boy Iruma gets introduced, and everyone loses their minds. But here's the twist, Sullivan's got one more trick up his sleeve, a spell, a letter, and bam. Iruma's chanting like a pro. The teacher's sweating bullets, but it turns out Iruma's the daredevil of demon spells. Applause and a tough day challenge follow. Dodgeball? No, dodging fireballs is Iruma's game, thanks to his overwhelming crises evasion capability. Enter Asmodeus Kun, the representative of new students. He punishes Iruma for stealing the spotlight with a fiery showdown. Dodging fireballs like a boss, Iruma's past life experience comes in handy. The crowd loves it, and even Asmodeus bows down, literally. Now, he's Iruma's loyal minion, all thanks to the Demon Law playbook. And that, my friends, is just the beginning of Suzuki Iruma's devilishly good adventures. Our hero begins his day with a nightmare, dreaming of the good old days when his parents gleefully sold him to a demon. Classic family bonding, right? But fret not, dear listeners, for a lavish breakfast awaits our protagonist, courtesy of the ever-hospitable Sullivan. Now, enter the comedic relief, opera and his hellgrey tea. One sip, and poor Iruma is doing the breakfast boogie, showcasing his extraordinary talent for dramatic reactions. But wait, there's more. Open your mouth, discuss a little, and voila. Opera pulls a Mary Poppins, showering Iruma with gifts, including an embroidered handkerchief and a Hellraiser clock. Because nothing says welcome to school like demon-themed timepieces. The real challenge, though, lies in Iruma's journey to school. Sullivan, being the over-enthusiastic grandparent, wants to capture every moment, but Opera, ever the sensible sidekick, drags him back home. On the way, we get introduced to the class president, a demon diva, who scolds some boys for not using their demonic tones properly. Iruma, playing it cool, avoids the student council and Asmodeus for a while. However, as is a patient demon and waits for a whopping 6 hours and 6 minutes. Asmodeus informs Iruma about the upcoming ritual to summon familiars, and our two protagonists end up in the same group. Asmodeus spills the magical beans. Today's magical creature summoning will determine their academic ranks at Babel's. The catch? Iruma wonders if familiars have a taste for humans. Fast forward to the ritual, guided by the irritable advisor, Nabrius Caligo. Step 1, 2, 3, draw, enter, hold, and voila, familiars appear in a puff of smoke. Nabrius warns about disobedient familiars, but as, ever the troublemaker, suggests Iruma can charge at Caligo. Our hero declines because, well, who wants a detention in demon school? Many students pass the ritual, with Asmodeus scoring a Gorgon snake. Nabrius, though, is not impressed considering the history with Sullivan. When it's Iruma's turn, revenge is on the menu for Caligo. Surprise! Iruma accidentally summons Caligo as his familiar, much to everyone's shock. Caligo is furious and demands Iruma to nullify the contract. Iruma tries his best, pulling and pushing, but the ritual concludes with Caligo transformed into a tiny bat. Az applauds Iruma for accidentally summoning another demon, leaving everyone in awe. Now, off to Sullivan to nullify the contract. But plot twist, they're bound for a year, and attempting to break it forcefully equals death. Caligo, now bedridden with grief, and Iruma head back to face the consequences. With Iruma's fame skyrocketing, a demon girl in glasses isn't too thrilled. Iruma's becoming the talk of the demon town, as the loyal sidekick guides Iruma to the next adventure, getting textbooks. And just when things seem somewhat normal, enter Clara, the ball of energy with a song in her heart and a familiar named Falfel. Chaos ensues as she crashes into the room, singing and stacking boxes like a demon tornado. And so, the chaotic, humorous, and devilishly entertaining journey of Suzuki Iruma at Babel's Demon School continues. And now, in the whimsical world of Babel's Demon School, our quirky trio, Iruma, which was formerly named Asmodeus, and the mischievous green-haired demon girl, Valak Clara, embarks on another adventure of chaos and camaraderie. Enter Clara, a ball of energy with a song in her heart, happily skipping and singing her way into the scene. But as ever, the knowledgeable guide warns Iruma that getting attached to Clara is a pain in the demonic posterior. A teacher appears, stopping Clara from stacking boxes and, in a bizarre twist, ties the three misfits together with a rope, leaving them floating in mid-air, textbooks in tow. As Clara playfully suggests a game, urges Iruma to flee, but the poor guy can't say no. The result? Iruma reluctantly playing along, and getting the role of the next-door neighbor wife in this impromptu demon playdate. Things take a hilarious turn when Clara, armed with a big axe, tries to take a swing at demon playtime at its finest. Soon, Clara has them engaged in a 2-hour play session, complete with snacks and drinks magically stored in her secret pockets. However, trouble arrives in the form of 3 demon boys who only use Clara for snacks and drinks, never bothering to play with her. Classic demon boys, am I right? The story unfolds over the next few days, with Iruma and Az becoming regular players in Clara's whimsical world. On the 3rd day, though, Clara overhears some boys gossiping about Iruma using her. Heartbroken, she offers all her goodies to Iruma, who, in a heartwarming twist, declines and assures her he'll play with her without all the treats. But Clara's tears don't last long. Iruma's genuine offer to play brings immense joy, as it's the first time someone has invited her without any conditions. The trio's newfound bond faces a test when the 3 demon boys return, demanding drinks. Clara, in a sudden burst of confidence, retaliates, hitting one of the boys with a vending machine and making them pay for their drinks. Az steps in to handle the bullies, demonstrating his protective side for Clara. The next day, the trio shows up at Sullivan's home to pick up Iruma, and Sullivan couldn't be happier that Iruma is making friends. Az suggests heading to the cafeteria, where the trio discovers the intricate rank-based ordering system and the school lunch perks. Az, ever resourceful, advises Iruma to get anything he wants, and even goes on a food-fetching mission for him. However, the trio's peaceful meal is disrupted when a group of demon boys orders excessive food, prompting Az to contemplate a lesson in manners. But, surprise, Iruma finishes all the food before Az can make his move, leaving everyone astonished, including the unconscious chef. Cum arrives to deliver the unfortunate news that Clara is banned from the store, and the store guy threatens her with a bamboo stick. Enter Caligo, the grumpy advisor, who adds another layer of chaos to the mix. Caligo, unfortunately, is not on good terms with Iruma. Clara, ever curious, discovers that Caligo is Iruma's familiar. With a swift summoning, Caligo turns into a small brat. However, trouble brews as they are accused of shoplifting, leading to a chaotic escape. As they enjoy ice cream on the ground, the trio expresses their wish to be classmates. Iruma, being the friendly soul he is, introduces the concept of friends to Clara and Az, opening a new chapter in their peculiar bond. In a meeting room, Sullivan, the master puppeteer, finalizes class assignments, placing Iruma, Valak Clara, and Asmodeus in the misfit class for problem children. And so, the misadventures of Suzuki Iruma and his demon companions continue. The twisted tales of Babel's Demon School continue as Suzuki Iruma finds himself in a special class, surrounded by misfit companions. Sullivan, the puppet master, reveals that he intentionally placed Iruma in this class to keep him unnoticed. It seems our dear protagonist's wish to remain low-key is about to be granted. As they make their way to the first-year tower, Az throws in a bit of demon trivia, mentioning that demons typically fly. However, he commends Iruma for strengthening his legs through walking. The news of being in different classes saddens Aiko, but little does she know that she, too, is part of the misfit crew. Upon entering the tower, they follow an arrow leading them to a room labeled 1. Danger. Inside, a mischievous demon boy steals accessories from his unsuspecting classmates. The arrow then guides them into a cave, where Iruma's extraordinary defensive skills come into play. Dodging a barrage of arrows with his overwhelming crises evasion capability, Iruma becomes the unexpected star of the show. The classmates reveal they had placed bets on his defense ability. However, there's one demon who got hit, Sabnok, a massive demon with aspirations of becoming the Yod, the highest ranked demon, and eventually the Demon King. Sabnok, known for his disdain for anyone in his way, fought his teacher and ended up in the misfit class. A heated exchange between Sabnok and Iruma ensues, with Az stepping in to protect his friend. Sabnok challenges Az, claiming he has a more powerful familiar, but Az surprises everyone by declaring himself as Iruma's friend. The concept of friendship is introduced to the demons, leaving them thrilled. Caligo, the grumpy teacher, enters the scene, skillfully dodging arrows, and announces himself as the class teacher due to the school store mishap. Their first lesson begins with a race to the end of the valley. and ranks will be determined based on the race and familiar class results. The cute guide introduces two routes, the easy warbling one and the hard Cutthroat Valley. However, Caligo warns against the Cutthroat Valley due to moody guards. Sabnock, ever defiant, insists on taking the hard route. As the race starts, most demon kids fly, but Iruma, lacking wings, stands still. Caligo pushes him like a father trying to get rid of his son, and Iruma falls down the mountain edge. Caligo monitors the race from the endpoint, disappointed with the students' antics, as racing with true spirit is accompanied by Clara. Sabnock leaves them behind and braves the Cutthroat Valley, facing curses and a giant beast. As Caligo contemplates Iruma, a demon crow is seen flying with Iruma in its beak. Meanwhile, Clara faces a demon flower and Az wonders about Iruma's fate. To everyone's surprise, Iruma lands in a colossal bird's net. The injured bird, touched by Iruma's kindness, allows him to heal it with his blood and offers him a ride. While Sabnock faces the giant Cutthroat Valley guard, the narrative takes an intriguing turn. The Misfit class's adventures continue with unexpected friendships, challenges, and, of course, a touch of devilish humor. As Iruma rides on the injured bird, they find themselves on a strange path adorned with numerous stop signs. Meanwhile, Sabnock, in the Cutthroat Valley, bites his necklace to form a weapon and engages in a fierce battle with the guard. Imagining his family, Sabnock summons a sword with a second bite and continues the fight. However, the guard proves formidable and throws Sabnock away. Just as the demon guard is about to strike a fatal blow, Iruma mysteriously appears and stands in the way. Surprisingly, the guard stops attacking, and an injured bird communicates with Iruma. While Sabnock plans to attack, Iruma intervenes, leading to the guard bowing in front of them. Back at the goal, Az and Clara are the first and second to reach. Despite other students reaching the goal, Az stops Caligo from ending the lesson. Suddenly, a guard from the Cutthroat Valley appears. Caligo moves to protect the students, but the entire class is left astonished as Iruma and Sabnock ride over the guard. Their unconventional approach earns them punishment for defying the rules. In the ranking ceremony, students receive badges from a rank owl, and Caligo instructs others to humiliate Iruma and Sabnock by throwing stones at them. Sabnock, recognizing Iruma's strength, declares him a rival for the Demon King's throne. As the rankings unfold, Clara surprisingly secures a higher rank than Az, and Sabnock gets the second rank. However, when Iruma goes to receive his rank, the owl flies away, leaving Iruma with a golden ring of Solomon on his right hand. The ring emits a black flame that grows and shrieks uncontrollably. The black flame, named the Gluttonous Feeder Ring, poses a threat, biting anyone who approaches and draining their power. When Caligo attempts to intervene, the black smoke threatens him. Just as Caligo is about to take drastic measures, Sullivan appears, controlling the black flame and trapping it inside the ring. Sullivan reveals that the ring will store Iruma's powers and attempt to devour others' powers when empty. The key to control is substantial feeding. A group photo marks the end of the first lesson, but Iruma, now unable to be ranked, is content with being the lowest one. Little does he know that he's become even more notorious. As the students read an article on Iruma, a displeased girl with glasses reflects the discontent. In the school assembly hall, they come together to sing the school song. In the student council room, the student representative discovers the school newspaper filled with stories about Iruma. Meanwhile, Sullivan, ever the theatrical devil, orchestrates a grand carriage ride for Iruma's journey to school, accompanied by opera. Inside the carriage, Iruma ponders the mysteries of the black flame within the Gluttonous Feeder Ring and its eventual hunger for Sullivan's power. As they arrive at the school gate, opera rolls out a red carpet, announcing Iruma's grand entrance. Az, always the observant demon, appraises Iruma's carriage, and chaos ensues when Clara, hidden beneath the carpet, thuds Az for his attention. Sullivan hands Iruma his school bag and a hellphone, but Iruma, reluctant to stand out, makes a swift escape. Caligo takes roll call, and the class learns that other teachers will be taking their classes for the day. Clara and Az try to lift Iruma's spirits. In their diabotany class in the class tower, they encounter Stola's Susie, who teaches them the magical art of blooming flowers. Iruma, who lacks magical prowess, is worried about his performance. A group of upperclassmen in the student council, including Sabnock, watch as students showcase their magical abilities. Sabnock boasts about the student council's interest in his progress but ends up with a flower eating its own pot, earning him a B+. Az impresses with a beautiful fire flower, earning enough. Fight ensues between Sabnock and Az, halted by Stolas using demonic plant branches. As other students bloom stunning flowers, Clara unleashes the weirdest one. When it's Iruma's turn, he imagines a beautiful flower from the human world and utters the word Quan Quan. A dazzling light envelops the class tower, and a majestic cherry blossom tree begins to bloom. In awe, everyone, including Sullivan and Opera, witnesses the extraordinary sight. The class president is informed, and she recognizes that these flowers only bloom in the human world. Intrigued, she decides to talk to Iruma. Demon School babbles, with 6 classes and 666 demon students, has a group known as the Student Council responsible for maintaining peace. The president of the Student Council, while walking through the hallways, is informed that Iruma wasn't in class. She believes in the existence of humans but thinks they stopped contact with demons. Working on a theory, she suspects Iruma might be human. In a secret room filled with human world manga, the president reads a story about a girl in love with a boy. She fears being enchanted by the human world books. Meanwhile, Iruma cleans up the mess from the cherry blossom tree. Stolas offers to help, but Iruma declines. The president takes a manga with her and runs to her room. Later, as Iruma helps the old workers, Az burns the waste with his magic. Clara, mischievous as ever, drops a ton of waste on them. After sending Az home, Iruma returns to put back the cleaning supplies. In another part of the hallway, the president is approaching, and a collision with Iruma sets off a peculiar encounter. As the president learns Iruma's name, she becomes infuriated, convinced that he is human and attempting to charm her into falling in love with him. The mysteries surrounding Iruma's origins deepen, weaving a captivating tale in the supernatural realm of Babel's demon school. The president gets super mad when she finds out she bumped into Iruma. She thinks he's trying to make her fall for him. Iruma is scared because he upset her, so he apologizes and tries to get away. The president plans to hand Iruma over to her father, who's the head of security. Suddenly, Iruma tries to escape, and a manga from the human world falls on the ground. Iruma grabs the manga before the president and starts reading it. Turns out, he loves the series, and it reminds him of when he was an assistant in writing it. The president gets excited that Iruma can read the series and quizzes him on different letters. She takes him to a room and asks him to read the manga aloud. Iruma hesitates because he figures out that demons can't read human language, but the president insists. Since Iruma can't say no to requests, he starts reading. After finishing, he realizes it's dark outside and his grandpa has been calling him. The president adds her number to Iruma's phone and tells him to come whenever she calls. Before leaving, Iruma asks her name and she says it's Amory. Iruma leaves thinking it was kind of fun. Later, Amory decides to take precautions as she confirms Iruma is human. When he's in his room, Az informs him that the student council and the president want to talk about the cherry blossom tree. In the morning, Opera asks if Iruma wants to go back to the human world. Iruma remembers his tough life there and his joys in the devil world. Opera suggests graduating with good results if he wants to return. She informs him that his grandpa has gone to get the carriage. Iruma runs to his friends, and at school, he ponders why he hasn't considered going back to the human world. Amory texts him to come to the common room. During lunch, Az and Clara offer Iruma their lunches, but he leaves upon getting Amory's text. Sabnuk arrives, and Az and Clara follow Iruma to find out what's going on. In a meeting room, Amory dismisses the student council meeting, saying she's going on a date, which means extra special school rounds. She warns them not to follow. Meanwhile, Clara searches for Iruma all over the school. Az asks her to be discreet. Az and Clara get detection warding glasses, making them vague and unnoticed. Outside the common room, Iruma waits for Amory, who comes running. Az and Clara see them together and think Iruma is trying to take over the school. In the common room, when Iruma reads the manga, he asks Amory about her ambitions. She wants to make the demon school the best and help her father after graduation. Iruma just wants to have fun with everyone. Amory tells him it's an ideal, not an ambition, and asks about his dream. Az and Clara watch all this from the window. Amory, intrigued by Iruma's dreams, questions him about his aspirations while Az and Clara discreetly observe the conversation from the window. Clara, eager to join the discussion, is held back by Az's restraint. Despite Az's curiosity, he manages to resist the urge to eavesdrop. However, Iruma, unable to provide a clear answer, collapses, and a scuffle ensues as Az prevents Clara from hitting the door. Amidst the chaos, Amory offers Iruma advice, suggesting that he become a bat and dare to dream. Suddenly, Az and Clara burst into the room through the smoke, catching them off guard. Amory, attempting to hide a human manga, finds herself in an awkward situation. Clara, determined to have Iruma with her, whisks him away, while Amory, with a mysterious smile, asks him to be on her side. That night, Clara dreams of Amory stealing Iruma away, fueling her determination. Meanwhile, Iruma contemplates his desire to achieve a higher rank. Az, wrestling with temptations about Iruma's plans, struggles to find rest. The next day, seeking guidance on winning Iruma back, Clara consults with Sabnuk, who suggests a demon lesson on the art of charming someone. During class selection, Iruma opts for a lecture classroom to avoid standing out, and surprisingly, Az chooses the same elective. However, Clara decides on a class labeled Seductive Girls, taught by the attractive Rame Sensei. Az, pitying Clara and assuming a misunderstanding, is left puzzled when she joins the class without offering any explanation. In the seductive class, Raim instructs the students to read in a way that makes others fall for them. Clara, scoring low in Raim's assessment, is advised to read extra books to appear more innocent than a baby. Undeterred, Clara attempts various tactics, including posing, touching, wearing peculiar outfits, adding excessive perfume, and using makeup, failing at each step. Disheartened, she returns home but finds solace in the support of her siblings. Clara decides on her final, bold step, kissing. The next morning, she combines all her learned steps but accidentally collides with Caligo. Concerned for Clara, Raim offers pheromone perfume, but Clara defiantly refuses, determined to find her own way to win Iruma's heart. Clara, feeling lonely and doubting her attractiveness, sat alone in the garden. Iruma, noticing her solitude, approached and gently told her that she shouldn't be sitting alone in a place like that, especially since she's a girl. Clara, excited by Iruma's concern, enthusiastically declared that she would make him fall in love with her. In that moment, something stirred within Iruma, a feeling he couldn't quite put into words. Taking the initiative, Clara grabbed Iruma's hand and spiritedly led him on a quest to find As. Through the window, Raim observed that Clara's scope score had inexplicably increased to 10%, leaving her puzzled about what had transpired. As night fell, Iruma praised Clara for her lively spirit, and in that moment, he recalled Amory's words. It was then that he made a silent determination regarding his goals. The next morning, Az was astonished when Iruma expressed his desire to achieve a higher rank. Iruma, our demon in training, had an epiphany. Amory, with all her wisdom, advised him to level up in the demonic hierarchy. Excitedly, Iruma announced to Az in the cafeteria that he's aiming to climb from Aleph to Bet rank. Az, always the drama enthusiast, misinterprets this as Iruma planning to take over the entire demon kingdom. He declares it to the entire school, turning Iruma into an unintentional legend. But hold your demon horses. Iruma clarifies that he simply wants to reach Bet rank, not conquer the underworld. The students, momentarily disappointed, are still intrigued by what our unsuspecting hero has in store. Meanwhile, a demon girl with glasses is eyeing Iruma with envy. Az, being the proactive friend, drags Iruma away for training. Just when they thought they were in the clear, the bamboo guy, Clara stuck to his bamboo, demands to join their adventure. Because, you know, every good training session needs a bamboo-wielding sidekick. Az takes Iruma to the demon gym, revealing the periodic rank promotion exam. Instead of fighting monsters and caimans, they now play a demon version of dodgeball in marked territories. Az, being Az, asks Clara to unleash cursed puppets for practice. Chaos, of course, ensues. While everyone is dodging the ball like pros, Iruma realizes this is basically demonic dodgeball. Iruma, however, feels like he's missing something crucial. Az suggests consulting someone with a higher rank. Enter Grandpa. Sullivan takes Iruma to a mysterious ground and unveils a magical spell. Iruma, being the ethical demon, hesitates to use magic. So, Grandpa strengthens his hands instead. After some intense hand strengthening exercises, Opera takes over the training. Iruma, used to dodging, learns the art of hitting the ball. After a rigorous training day, Iruma gets encouraging messages from his friends. But, being a diligent demon student, he goes for a solo training session with Opera. Despite aching hands and diverse opera moods, Iruma keeps at it. His friends cheer him on, even organizing a manga reading break for him. However, the plot thickens. Despite all the hard work, Iruma struggles to catch the ball. Opera, concerned, updates Sullivan on this surprising development. But fear not, our determined Iruma continues training, and finally, after what feels like demon eternities, he catches the elusive ball. Clara and Az erupt in cheers, and even Opera gives a nod of approval. Iruma, my friends, is ready to conquer the dodgeball underworld. The day of the execution cannonball has arrived, and Opera, the wise demon mentor, advises Iruma to flip his fear into excitement. In the demon world, fearing your enemy is equivalent to admitting defeat before the game even begins. With newfound determination, Iruma heads to demon school alongside his friends, leaving a buzz of speculation among the students about whether he will emerge victorious. Amory, standing pensively near the window, contemplates the significance of the execution exam. Meanwhile, Caligo gathers all the students and leads them to the training gym for the impending showdown. Enter the cute explanation thing, breaking down the game rules in its adorable way. 2 teams are formed, each with 1 player stationed outside the court. The objective is simple: hit opponents inside the court with the ball to eliminate them. However, the twist is that players outside the court can still influence the game. Magic can't be used directly on other students, but it's fair game when it comes to manipulating the ball. The rank of the students hit and the winning team determine the individual ranks. Team A gets the stylish yellow, and Team B gets the fiery red. Surprisingly, Clara finds herself on Team A, but the plot thickens when Iruma and Az end up on opposing teams. Faced with this dilemma, Az, being the loyal friend, decides to secretly aid Iruma in his quest for victory. The game kicks off, and Team Red targets Sabnok. However, Sabnok's teammate saves him from the impending hit, turning the tide. Sabnok retaliates, launching the ball towards the girl with glasses, who skillfully fends off the attack. Just when it seems like the ball is about to hit a girl, Kamui intervenes but, alas, crosses the enemy's line, leading to his disqualification. But fear not, for Clara unleashes her chaos. Dozens of balls emerge from her mysterious pockets, bewildering everyone. Sabnok, in a comedic twist, grabs the wrong ball and hurls it into the chaos. Balls are flying left and right, and just as the confusion peaks, Iruma leaps into action, skillfully grabbing the real ball mid-air. The crowd erupts in surprise and cheers as Iruma secures a triumphant moment in the execution cannonball game. The excitement in the execution cannonball game reaches its peak as Augurs, unfortunately, falls victim to disqualification due to unauthorized magic use on something other than the ball. Meanwhile, Iruma finds himself in uncharted territory as he hasn't practiced the art of ball throwing. In a surprising turn of events, Sabnok seizes the opportunity, snatches the ball from Iruma, and hurls it towards Az with vengeance. Az, however, displays some unexpected skills, capturing the ball and retaliating with a furious throw. The ball finds its mark, eliminating Sabnok from the court. Az doesn't stop there, he goes on to hit Clara, showcasing his prowess in the game. The chaotic exchange continues until only Az and Iruma remain inside the court. Az, torn between friendship and competition, briefly contemplates letting Iruma win. However, a wave of determination washes over him as he recalls Iruma's intense training. Channeling all his power, Az delivers a precise hit on Iruma. Yet, Iruma, displaying quick reflexes and evasive skills developed through rigorous training, manages to stop the ball. With newfound confidence, he retaliates by launching the ball towards Az with all his might. The decisive hit lands, securing victory for Team A. As the dust settles, Amory, accompanied by the student council members, arrives at the training gym. Expecting to witness Az's performance, the student council is surprised and impressed by Iruma's unexpected triumph. Team A celebrates Iruma's success, and Team B applauds Az for his incredible throw. Kaligo, the ever-analytical teacher, observes Iruma's utilization of evasive abilities to throw the ball with Az's power. Acknowledging the impressive display, Kaligo awards Iruma the coveted bet rank. Congratulations and cheers echo through the gym as Iruma basks in the glory of his achievement. Amory, appearing in her authoritative manner, congratulates Iruma on his well-deserved victory. Feeling a surge of happiness and excitement in his chest, Iruma heads home. He proudly shows his bet rank to Grandpa and Opera, expressing gratitude for their guidance and training. With a heart full of joy, Iruma drifts off to sleep, content with the day's triumphs. In the morning, a new green demon arrives at the demon school. In the common room, Iruma reads the manga for Amory, and when the devil bell rings, Amory heads to class. Iruma contemplates whether he should raise his rank again. In the classroom, a new teacher, Bals Robin, is introduced as the familiar teacher for Iruma's class. Bals explains his enthusiasm for teaching and how it made him late. During the lesson, students are asked to summon their familiars. Az and Sabnok proudly showcase their familiars. Bals is surprised by Clara's Foulful familiar and her non-verbal communication with it. When Iruma is asked to summon his familiar, he hesitates, but Bals requests it, and Iruma, unable to decline, summons his familiar. Meanwhile, Kaligo, in his office, transforms into a bat and scolds Iruma for summoning him. Bals is astonished to see a talking familiar. Kaligo attempts to disobey Iruma but gets punished. Other students laugh at the situation. Later, Iruma and Kaligo sit together, and Kaligo reluctantly agrees to help Iruma. He explains that the familiar's shape depends on the master's ability. Bals guides them through exercises to build trust, causing laughter among students witnessing Kaligo's antics. Iruma apologizes to Kaligo for the humiliation of summoning. An irritated Kaligo questions why Iruma didn't summon him when guards from Cutthroat Valley threatened him. Iruma explains he was concerned for both Kaligo and the guard's safety. Meanwhile, Az and Sabnok engage in a familiar fight due to a heated argument. Kaligo intervenes, thrashing their familiars and emphasizing the importance of trust between familiars and their masters. Familiars, being beasts, can cause massive destruction if out of control. He praises Iruma for understanding his familiar's true potential. Students start building trust with their familiars. In the office, Kaligo hands over files to Bals. Iruma enjoys lunch with his friends in the empty cafeteria when a group of girls disturbs them briefly. Az explains the concept of battlers for raising ranks, akin to clubs. Az makes Iruma witness the battlers' entry, and to Iruma's terror, he sees a group of giant beasts as the battlers. Outside the school gates, a charismatic battler takes the stage, initially advocating for niceness and courtesy among butlers. However, in a sudden twist, he discards the loudspeaker and urges the battlers to crush anyone in their way. Chaos ensues as a battler approaches Iruma, but Az valiantly steps in to save his friend. As more battlers close in on Az, he summons a protective fire circle, keeping them at bay. Az explains that these battlers have a mere 66 minutes each day to aggressively recruit first years for their teams. Their strategies vary, and the competition for potential team members can be intense. Az hints at a potential savior from this chaos, the Student Council. Enter the Student Council president, and the once rowdy battlers instantly fall in line. However, her attention turns to Iruma, inviting him to join the Student Council's battler team. The Devil Bell rings, marking the end of the battler round. Kaligo encourages students to choose their battlers wisely, emphasizing the potential for rank improvement. The students scatter, with Az fervently burning any flyers he receives. In contrast, Iruma finds himself bombarded with hundreds of flyers, much to Clara's surprise. Az remains committed to burning every flyer he gets, highlighting his disinterest in joining any battler group. Other students share their undecided or nonchalant attitudes toward choosing a battler. When one curious student asks Iruma about his choice, he raises his hand, only to be unexpectedly propelled by an unseen force. Tumbling through the hallway, he collides with a bleeding demon. Apologizing profusely, Iruma learns that the demon is weak and crafted a necklace from the same metal as Iruma's ring. The demon explains that the ring is drawn to the necklace, designed to empower weaker demons with magic. Iruma, finding the situation relatable, absorbs this intriguing information. Az and Clara join the scene, and the trio embarks on a journey to explore different battlers. Their visit to the Diabotany battler takes an unexpected turn as a flower engulfs Clara, setting the stage for more peculiar adventures. In their quest to find the right battler, Iruma, Az, and Clara venture into the library battler, only to witness student demons engaged in a heated fight. Deciding it's not the right fit, they explore other options, including the document battler where Sabnok immerses himself in reading about the Demon King. The trio then explores the Black Magic battler and the Succubus battler, a choice Clara is particularly enthusiastic about. Az, however, manages to dissuade her, leaving them without a clear choice. Frustrated, they head back to Sullivan's home, where Iruma shares concerns about his ring occasionally acting up. To address this, Sullivan adds a circle with 3 levels to the ring, and he teaches Iruma a spell, Rapfire, which conjures a small magical fire based on different modes, Devil Mode Plus, and Ifrit. Sullivan cautions Iruma about the potential danger of the Ifrit mode and advises him to be careful. In case of an emergency, Sullivan introduces the powerful spell Pandarula, which releases all the magic at once, urging Iruma to use it cautiously. The next day, the trio explores battler stalls at school, with Clara being indecisive and exploring every option. When Az inquires about Iruma's choice, he reveals an invitation from the Cannonball Execution battler and expresses a particular plan in mind. In the gym training, Iruma meets the members of the Cannonball Execution battler and, to showcase his prowess, he uses the spell Lebora to throw a ball. Although the members catch it, they find the throw satisfactory and invite Iruma to join their battler. As they move through the hallway, Iruma receives a text from Amory, thanking her for the invitation and expressing surprise at her role as the Student Council president. Moments later, a commotion in a nearby room catches their attention. Upon entering, they discover the magical apparatus battler, adding another layer of intrigue to their battler exploration. Battlers, gatherings of ambitious demons striving to climb the ranks, offer various clubs for like-minded individuals. Iruma, still contemplating which battler to join, finds himself at the crossroads of choices. Meanwhile, Amory, brimming with excitement for this year's battlers, channels her energy into decorating the room to impress Iruma and convince him to join her battler group. As Amory finishes the decorations, she eagerly texts Iruma, inviting him to visit the Student Council. Iruma, intending to stop by later, sends a reply to inform her. However, his plans take an unexpected turn when a sudden explosion rocks the surroundings. Balancing himself, Iruma investigates and discovers a fellow demon unconscious. He texts Amory about the incident, apologizing for the change in his plans. The fallen demon turns out to be Amy Kariwo, a member of the magical apparatus battler. After apologizing for the earlier explosion during a magical apparatus calibration attempt, Amy introduces himself. Iruma explores the room, and Amy, generous and sharing, explains the purpose of his battler, studying magical apparatus from various sources and constructing them. Amy reveals his unique condition. Every time he activates his magic to operate the apparatus, he experiences dizziness and bleeding. Acknowledging his frailty and limited magic, Amy confides in Iruma, who, having spent his childhood fixing broken things, is unfazed. Amy showcases a magical enhancement apparatus prototype, which caused the earlier explosion. In a heartwarming moment, Iruma, adept at piecing things together, reconstructs the shattered apparatus battery into a heart shape. Amy tests the enhanced apparatus successfully, expressing his goal to invent a device that bridges the power gap between strong and weak demons. Iruma, intrigued by the idea, supports Amy but realizes the potential backlash from high-ranked demons. Curious about Iruma's whereabouts, Asmodeus and Clara go in search of him. Spotting Iruma walking towards them, he shares the story of his encounter with Amy, shedding light on the unique and innovative world of the magical apparatus Battler. On the final day of Battler trials, Amy finds himself in another mishap, causing a massive explosion in his lab. Iruma, accompanied by Asmodeus and Clara, arrives on the scene. To Amy's shock, 3 new recruits express their interest in joining his battler. Meanwhile, Amory, feeling dejected as Iruma joined another battler, sits alone in the student council room. Unexpectedly, Iruma enters, admiring the room's decorations, lifting Amory's spirits. Amory serves tea, but her mood sours when she learns about Iruma joining a different battler, thinking he had committed to the student council. It takes Iruma 2 hours to clarify the situation, easing Amory's frustrations. The battler, undeterred by Amy's explosive mishap, organizes a presentation party to introduce new members, where parents of first-year freshmen are also invited. Iruma draws parallels between the party and Parents' Day at school, emphasizing the familial atmosphere. Principal Sullivan, absent from the Battler presentation due to attending the 13th dinner with Netherlands' greatest heroes, engages in discussions about the challenges faced by the Netherworld in the absence of a Demon King. The meeting on the 666th floor sees Lady Levy and Belial advocating for Sullivan to choose the new Demon King, expressing their trust in him. The trio argues over the decision while showcasing their grandchild. Henry, Lady Levy's father, enters the room and thanks Sullivan for looking after his daughter Amory. However, he presents Sullivan with an arrest warrant, accusing him of illegally crossing into the human world, and asks him to accompany him to the station. As Sullivan faces legal troubles, Opera dutifully serves dinner to Iruma, highlighting the stark contrast between the celebration of the Battler presentation and the unfolding events in the higher echelons of the Netherworld. Sullivan's abrupt call to Opera sends ripples through the household, bearing unexpected news of his arrest and the impossibility of returning home anytime soon. With a heavy heart, Sullivan instructs Opera to take care of Iruma in his absence. Opera, somberly relaying the message to Iruma, explains that Sullivan has urgent matters to attend to. As the demon version of Parents' Day looms closer at Babel's school, nervous anticipation spreads among the first-year students. However, Iruma, having never experienced a human school or parental involvement, doesn't quite share the same anxieties. The concept of parents showing up is alien to him, but a sudden realization about Sullivan triggers a wave of nervousness akin to his peers. Meanwhile, Clara, bubbling with excitement, eagerly anticipates her entire family's attendance on Parents' Day. The atmosphere at the school is charged with a mix of nerves and excitement. A demon teacher approaches Caligo, summoning him to Sullivan's office. There, he receives the unsettling news of Sullivan's arrest by Demon Border Control. Tasked with taking over Sullivan's responsibilities, Caligo grumbles about the added workload but senses something fishy. He warns his fellow teachers to be on guard during the upcoming Battler's presentation day. Amidst the preparations, Iruma queries Asmodeus and Amy about their parents' attendance. Asmodeus, desperately attempting to prevent his mother's arrival, contrasts with Amy, who reveals being ostracized by his family due to his low magic abilities. Iruma, understanding Amy's plight, shares a bond of having less than ideal parental figures. Amy confides in Iruma that his senior, acting as a guardian, will attend his presentation. The group gears up for the presentation, armed with their magical apparatus. Arriving at the presentation ground, Iruma is taken aback by the extravagant decorations. Amy discloses the high stakes: the best presentation earns a substantial prize, and groups may even ascend in rank. However, a stark contrast emerges when they approach their presentation stall, a cramped space barely a fraction of what others enjoy. Amy's third-year status, coupled with his lower rank, means limited budget and space, showcasing the hierarchical dynamics within the demonic school. Facing the challenge of creating a stellar presentation, Amy turns to his group members for ideas. Iruma, after careful consideration of each member's specialty, proposes the unique concept of fireworks. The idea resonates with Amy, Asmodeus, and Clara, but there's a hitch: the other members haven't heard of fireworks before. Iruma takes on the role of explaining this captivating display of light and sound to his intrigued companions. As the group enthusiastically embraces the idea, Amy realizes that creating fireworks requires experimenting with gunpowder. Determined to perfect their presentation, the group decides to pull an all-nighter for the experiments. In the midst of their experiments, an unexpected and massive explosion rocks the room. Miraculously, Amy remains unharmed thanks to his bloodline barrier technique that suppresses the explosion. The challenge of creating something entirely unfamiliar proves daunting for Amy. In a stroke of genius, Iruma reaches out to Amory for help. He requests a specific comic book on first love, which features a scene depicting fireworks. Initially reluctant to lend her precious comic, Amory changes her mind upon learning about the group's mission to create fireworks. Armed with the visual aid from the comic book, the group successfully completes their first experiment, bringing joy and satisfaction to all involved. As night falls, exhaustion looms, but Clara sparks a playful challenge, a duo pillow fight. Clara teams up with Asmodeus, while Iruma partners with Amy. The lively pillow fight ensues, with Iruma showcasing his impressive dodging skills, leaving everyone breathless and exhilarated. However, the night takes an unexpected turn when Amy receives a call from his brother. The ominous conversation reveals a dark plot. Amy's brother instructs him to stick to the plan of destroying Babel's school, exploiting the absence of Sullivan, who is away due to the tip Amy's brother gave to border control. The revelation casts a shadow over the group's joyful endeavors, hinting at potential challenges and conflicts ahead. Iruma and his party find themselves at the cafeteria, eagerly watching a show introducing the upcoming Battlers Party. The festival is primarily for the 3 lower classes, as the upperclassmen will be engrossed in their workshops. The party is set to take place in the front garden and the central plaza, promising a vibrant and competitive atmosphere. The show highlights enticing prizes for the best battlers. The victor receives a luxurious battler room, an increased budget, and a prize of their choice. However, the grand prize is the most coveted, a rank increase by 2. Each battler is fervently preparing for their presentations, and Iruma, Clara, and Asmodeus are no exception. Meanwhile, Amy informs Asmodeus that he has some personal matters to attend to. Amy heads towards the corridor and activates a secret switch, revealing a concealed room. In this hidden chamber, Amy's brother is plotting a nefarious plan involving a massive explosion and numerous casualties during the party. The key elements required for this sinister plan are Amy's abilities and the enhancement machine he has crafted. Amy acknowledges that without Iruma's assistance, executing such a plan would have been impossible. As Amy readies his machine, Iruma unexpectedly enters the secret room, guided by his magical ring. Amy, shocked by Iruma's presence, discloses the room's name, Magi App's Graveyard. He explains that it once belonged to battlers who worked on peculiar projects that could get them in trouble if discovered. The special soundproof glass ensures that no outsiders can see or hear them. Observing the central plaza, they spot Caligo, Robin Sensei, and other students. Amy starts calling Caligo names, surprising Iruma. Clarifying through the special glass, Amy reveals they are invisible and inaudible to outsiders. He shares that he entered the room to mentally prepare himself. In a surprising move, Iruma holds Amy's hand and proposes they aim for the grand prize at the battler party. This shocks Amy, who believes such a prize is usually won by top-class battlers with powerful demons. A childhood traumatic memory briefly overtakes Amy, but Iruma brings him back to reality. Deciding to refocus on preparations, Amy urges Iruma to keep the hidden base a secret. The battler party commences, and Asmodeus, preparing for the event, learns about the unexpected arrival of his mother. Desperate to avoid her, he implores his butler, David, to intervene. Meanwhile, Iruma waits for Sullivan, with Opera reassuring him that despite Sullivan's carefree nature, he always fulfills his promises. The eve of the battler party unfolds, and it's the grandest event at Babel's school. Students are hustling to sell food items, and every battler is eyeing the coveted grand prize. Asmodeus suggests that Iruma and Amy scout other battlers as they navigate the lively venue. Amy agrees but opts to conserve his energy for the upcoming events. While strolling, they come across a battler who has prepared a mega food challenge. Iruma, intrigued, asks if he can take on the challenge. The owner laughs at the idea, but his amusement turns to shock as Iruma effortlessly conquers the yakisoba challenge. Later, Sabnok's boisterous laughter catches their attention. Iruma, Clara, and Asmodeus stop to inquire about Sabnok's plans for the party day. Sabnok reveals a theatrical performance involving the Demon King, with his battler presenting an anecdote about the former Demon King. Jazz, another classmate, joins the conversation, sharing his involvement in a new magic battler focused on creating innovative magic. Asmodeus briefs Iruma and Clara on their plan, titled Strike Fast for Certain Victory. The plan involves launching fireworks at the countdown to party day to captivate everyone's attention. After the party eve, all students gather in the central plaza, awaiting the bell that signals the beginning of the party day. Iruma is entrusted with the task of launching the fireworks. However, things take an unexpected turn when Clara inadvertently lights the fireworks rope. Despite Iruma's attempts to extinguish the fireworks fail to launch, leaving them unaware of the missing shell. Unbeknownst to them, Amy has the shell in the hidden base. Ball, Amy's senpai, is revealed to be the one who tipped off border control about Sullivan's alleged illegal activities in the human world. Iruma and his party are absent from their stall, causing Amory to anxiously wait for Iruma to initiate the fireworks. As Iruma, Asmodeus, and Clara search for Amy, they realize he is nowhere to be found. Asmodeus checks obvious places like the cafeteria and inner courtyard, but to no avail. The only option left is to wait. Meanwhile, Amy is preparing for the crucial moment. The school is alive with battlers enjoying their stalls, but chaos ensues when Amy recalls Ball's instruction to commence the show. Breaking a purple stone on his collar, the entire school ground shakes. Panic sets in as the school building is enveloped in barriers. Caligo directs teachers and guards to handle the situation. Iruma, trying to reunite with Clara and Asmodeus, encounters an invisible barrier, realizing it's Amy's barrier technique at play. The night takes a dark turn as the school grapples with unforeseen turmoil, leaving Iruma and his friends in the midst of an unsettling situation. The entire school plunged into chaos, students finding themselves confined within invisible barriers, guards attempting to restore order, and panic spreading like wildfire. In the midst of this madness, Iruma's memory sparks. He recalls a similar wall crafted by Amy. It's deja vu, but way less fun when you're the one stuck in an invisible cage. Meanwhile, Amory, cool as a cucumber, sits in the student council room. Her subordinates burst in, slamming face first into the unseen barrier. Luckily, they manage to locate a gap. Amory, drawing inspiration from a classic First Love comic, directs her team to assess the situation calmly and ensure the students' safety. She's as puzzled as the rest of us but channels her inner leader. Robin Sensei, ever the multitasker, munches on a snack while trying to analyze the mysterious barrier. It's like he's enjoying a dinner and a show, all in one invisible cage. Caligo Sensei, not one to be outdone, unleashes his Cerberoboth attack to smash the barrier, only to witness it repair itself instantly. Now, he's pondering the sheer energy required to maintain such a formidable defense. Connecting the dots, Caligo suspects Principal Sullivan's detention might be linked to this chaos. With Robin in tow, he heads to the management warehouse. Employing the Cerberoboth attack again, they breach the barrier, and Caligo has a lightbulb moment. He rings up Dolly Sensei, concocting a brilliant plan. Dolly Sensei takes the stage with a colossal microphone, declaring the chaos as a surprise event by the new magic battler and game battler. The school is now a maze, and students must navigate the invisible walls to reach the central plaza, the ultimate goal. Winners, of course, get fabulous prizes. Caligo and Dolly Sensei manage to bring a temporary sense of calm to the chaos. As the students flood the central plaza, Caligo, now in the management warehouse, dives into the search for the culprits behind this bizarre situation. The school has transformed into a maze, and the quest for answers begins amidst the invisible walls. Dolly Sensei tells Caligo, communication beyond the school's invisible barrier is a no-go. Devilish telecommunication is restricted within this mystical enclosure. With 80% of the students already congregated in the central plaza, Caligo's gears start turning. It dawns on him that gathering everyone in one spot might be Amy's masterstroke, like she's orchestrating a grand finale. Amy's hiding a fireworks shell in the enhancement apparatus, ready to light up the night. Suddenly, a sharp-eyed Amy spots someone navigating the gaps in the barrier precision. Iruma is on a mission towards the secret room. Asmodeus and Iruma, analyzing the barrier, realize this has been Amy's long-term plan. Iruma reveals his hunch about Amy's whereabouts, asking Asmodeus to chart a course to the elusive third tower on the school map. Asmodeus, the artist, whips out paper and pen, sketching a map of the school. The catch, tracking all the barriers is no walk in the park for the trio. If only they could control the frogs a la Momonoke Sensei. The more magic pumped into these soldiers, the harder they work. Asmodeus employs his magic, commanding the soldiers to pinpoint the barrier locations. While Iruma follows Asmodeus' guidance towards the secret room, Caligo Sensei joins the dots and identifies Amy Kariwo as the culprit. He rallies the other teachers to hunt down Amy. Meanwhile, in the central plaza, chaos ensues as the Magic Beast Circus captivates the students. Amory, being the beacon of responsibility, intervenes just in time to save a student from becoming a stage casualty. As the students wonder about Iruma's whereabouts, he stands outside the secret room, poised to uncover the mysteries within. The communication battlers continued their engagement with students, creating a lively chaos throughout the school. Meanwhile, Amory tirelessly searched for Iruma. Outside the secret base, where Amy was executing his master plan, Iruma activated a switch, causing the protected door to open. However, Amy surprisingly let Iruma in. Iruma was taken aback, barely recognizing the calm-looking Amy without his glasses. Amy revealed his enhancement apparatus, which was modifying a fireworks shell intended to destroy the school. Shocked, Iruma questioned Amy's cruel intentions. Amy then shared his heartbreaking past. Born into the feared and famous Amy clan, known as the Steel Barrier, Amy had little magical power, leading to disappointment from his family. Bullied and beaten at the correctional elementary school, the Garden of Delinquents, Amy found solace in a girl who showed him kindness. This girl's lucky charm earring became Amy's source of comfort, but a group of bullies threw it into the river, leaving Amy alone. The joy he felt seeing others in despair became his reason for living. As the revelation unfolded, Iruma realized that Amy, the one pinning him down, was a demon while he himself was human. The true reason for Amy's actions traced back to a past battler party where he met Ball and the magical apparatus battler. Amy had given his horn to the girl as compensation, and Ball revealed his desire to return the netherworld to chaos by eliminating the ranks that governed it. Amy's plan with Ball involved destroying the symbol of ranks, the demon school Babbles. Amy allowed Iruma into the room to witness the impending despair of his friends, Asmodeus and Clara. Amy intended to trap Iruma in a box of barriers and relish his fall into despair. However, Iruma, accustomed to despair, remained unfazed. Amy realized that Iruma, who sought to overcome despair, was his natural enemy. In a surprising turn, Iruma removed the fireworks shell from the enhancement apparatus, determined to defeat Amy. Ignoring Amy's instructions to throw the shell in the central plaza, Iruma initiated a countdown, jumped through the window, summoned Ifrit, and threw the shell towards him. The barrier proved resilient, but Iruma broke the ultimate spell forbidden by Sullivan, shattering the barrier as the firework exploded in the sky. Witnessing Iruma's determination, everyone was impressed. Amy, defeated, saved the sleeping Iruma on the barrier, admitting his defeat. Waking up in Principal Sullivan's lap in the hidden room, Iruma found himself in the midst of an eventful aftermath. Before Iruma entered the secret base to confront Amy, Caligo and Robin were on the rooftop. Robin unleashed his family's bloodline special ability, the bullseye shot, targeting Principal Sullivan. However, Sullivan effortlessly caught the arrow, revealing a message that prompted him to rush towards the school to intervene. The flames of the impending firework disaster were frozen in time by Sullivan, who, along with other teachers, swiftly moved to arrest Amy. Amy, in custody, bid farewell to the chaos, expressing that he had genuinely enjoyed the mischief. Iruma, healed by Sullivan, was shocked to see the principal when he opened his eyes. Sullivan reassured Iruma, explaining that Amy had been arrested and taken into Demon Border Control for interrogation. Despite his misdeeds, Amy's punishment would be relatively light as there were no casualties. Sullivan, carrying Iruma on his shoulder, walked towards an open window, revealing the cheering students enjoying Iruma's fireworks. Handing a microphone to Iruma, Sullivan encouraged him to respond to the students' questions. Asmodeus and Clara approached Iruma, eager to know more about Amy. Unable to provide immediate answers, Iruma promised to share the details later. The party day commenced with a perfect beginning. Over the next 2 days, students and teachers rated the battlers' exhibits, allowing students to vote for their favorite battlers. Clara's extroverted family arrived at her stall, engaging in lively conversations with Iruma and Asmodeus. They enjoyed food, games, and even sang their special Valak family song before departing. Asmodeus' mother, the Lord of Seduction 13 Crowns, arrived after Clara's family left. Asmodeus skillfully evaded his mother, sending her to enjoy other stalls. Feeling left out without a family, Iruma was pleasantly surprised when Principal Sullivan arrived, inviting him to enjoy the festival together. The trio, along with Opera, explored different stalls, with Opera wreaking havoc on businesses with his winning spree. The day concluded with Asmodeus, Iruma, and Clara launching more fireworks, leaving everyone amazed. Opera, laden with gifts, showed no mercy as he headed back. Grateful for Opera and Sullivan, Iruma found happiness in the festivities. The results of the Battlers' party, eagerly awaited by everyone, were about to be announced, adding to the excitement and anticipation among the students. The ending ceremony unfolded, recognizing excellent battlers with fabulous prizes. The anticipation for the winner of the Battler party lingered in the air as Amory took the stage to announce the results. The third place went to Succubus Battlers, earning them a luxurious room. The second prize was awarded to the new Magic Battlers, who received a year's supply of black holy water for their magical development. As Amory built up suspense for the grand reveal of the first prize, the spotlight suddenly shifted to her. The broadcaster's battlers claimed the top spot, praised for their level-headed broadcasting through every unexpected situation. Sabnok's fury was evident for not securing the first prize. Amid discussions about the magical fireworks that brought joy to Iruma, he hoped for the grand prize for his battlers. As the announcement neared its end, Caligo-sensei seized the microphone, revealing that one student had risked their life without informing the faculty, deserving recognition. To honor this courageous act, a new award was added, the Tricky Award. The magical apparatus battlers were declared the recipients, and Iruma's rank was raised from Bet to Gimel. Iruma, thinking Amy deserved the rank update, experienced a mix of emotions. The students sang the national song of the Netherworld, including the terrifying song. Sullivan expressed his pride in Iruma, and suddenly, Everyone wanted to interview him. Unaccustomed to the attention, Iruma's photo appeared in the newspaper. Visiting the student council, Amory, as the president, thanked Iruma for saving the school, and they read a first love comic together. Amory spotted her father outside and left to talk to him. As Iruma was leaving, Henry asked him to follow. Henry, concerned about Iruma's well-being, checked for signs of mistreatment but found none. He revealed that he had met a human before and safely returned them to the human world after erasing their memories of the netherworld. Amory reappeared out of nowhere, introducing herself as Henry's daughter. Henry was shocked by Amory's affections towards Iruma, breaking into a humorous imagination of their wedding ceremony. Amory whisked Henry and Clara away, leaving Asmodeus to join Iruma on his way back to class. The lively and eventful aftermath of the Battler party marked the beginning of a new chapter for Iruma and his friends at Babel's. Asmodeus gleefully spreads the newspaper, proudly showcasing Iruma's Trickery Award win. Iruma's classmates are taken aback, finding his article even bigger than that of Demdal Kermo. The confusion sets in as Iruma remains blissfully ignorant of Kermo's existence. Ever the helpful demon, Asmodeus enlightens Iruma about Demdal, the stress-relieving period where demons indulge in violent or sadistic impulses, termed the evil cycle in demon lingo. Demdals, popular for turning evil into excitement, enjoy a warm reception in the netherworld. Kermo, a cute and talented singer, stands out among them and is holding a day and night concert at Makubari Dome. Jazz spills the beans to Iruma about the high demand for Kermo's concert tickets, sold via lottery. Additionally, lucky fans can meet Kermo in person during a meet and greet after the show. Iruma's classmates are beyond excited, captivated by the charm of Kermo. Amidst this Kermo frenzy, the broadcaster device interrupts, summoning Iruma to the broadcaster's room urgently. Meanwhile, Kermo is gearing up for her performance at Makubari Dome, a legendary venue in the netherworld. In private, she dons her glasses, a stark contrast to her public persona. She feels a bit exposed and embarrassed by her skin, struggling to focus on perfecting her poses due to the distraction of her exposed belly. In a moment of reflection, Kermo revisits a past where she was an average student with low grades and normal magic. Despite her mediocrity, people would stop and gaze in awe whenever she walked by. Kermo, prioritized and shielded from malice, realized the power of cuteness in dispelling violence. Holding a photocopy of the article, she fumes at Iruma for stealing her spotlight. Fueled by rage, she begins unleashing her ice magic. But her manager, Mal-san, intervenes to bring her back to reality. Despite the internal turmoil, the audience at Makubari Dome eagerly awaits Kermo's performance. Kuroma, planning to maintain a low profile at school and later aiming to surpass her mother's Zain rank after graduation, is torn between the fury of competition and the importance of her upcoming concert. The stage is set, the audience is cheering, and Kuroma is determined to make this the most memorable concert of her life. The concert hall pulsates with energy as Kuroma takes the stage, enchanting the audience with her mesmerizing performance. The crowd is captivated, immersed in the magic of her music. Yet, amid the sea of faces, Kuroma's eyes lock onto Iruma, and suddenly, her composure shatters. A few hours prior, Bathan Baraki, the broadcasting Battler president, summoned Iruma to the broadcaster's room. Bathan, having secured tickets to Kuroma's concert due to his family's sponsorship, generously handed Iruma, Asmodeus, and Clara the golden passes. Iruma, being the lucky recipient, was even granted the coveted meet and greet with the star herself. As Kuroma spots Iruma in her room during the meet and greet, her cool facade crumbles. Despite her efforts to act nonchalant, Kuroma is seething with anger at Iruma, even as he engages in casual conversation. Unwittingly, her cold magic starts to leak out, but she regains control just in time. However, her attempt to hide her glasses leads to a chaotic scene as she jumps over Iruma, frantically attempting to keep her identity under wraps. Amidst the chaos, Iruma bids farewell, expressing his anticipation of seeing Kuroma at school. It's at this moment that Kuroma realizes Iruma is already aware of her true identity. Iruma, sharp as ever, had connected the dots. Kuroma, or rather Kerali, has distinctive habits, like rolling her hands into fists, a gesture she maintained during her performance. The spilled details from her schedule and the ice magic further unveiled her secret. Iruma, in a surprising twist, confesses his jealousy of Kerali's ability to blend in effortlessly. Kerali, misunderstanding his intentions, unleashes her ice magic in response. Unfortunately, the strain proves too much for her, and she collapses, succumbing to a fever induced by her own powers. The concert star now lies unconscious, caught in the aftermath of her magical outburst. As Iruma urgently calls for help to attend to Kerali, manager Mal swiftly enters the room, finding Kerali lying on the couch. Concerned, Mal questions Iruma about any triggering incidents, as Kerali tends to struggle with her head if she becomes too exhausted, emotional, or uses too much ice magic. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted as one of the organizers bursts into the room, panicking about the upcoming concert. Sponsors and fans have flooded the venue, and Kuroma is on the brink of missing her chance to shine. The only hope lies in either a highly skilled doctor or Kuroma's family, both of which seem challenging to secure. Mal rules out calling her family due to the distance and their likely lack of interest in coming to her aid. Suddenly, to everyone's surprise, Carolee wakes up with determination, insisting on going ahead with the performance. She yearns to be the top dem doll, and her family's stoic nature has been a driving force behind her aspirations. Despite the risks, Carolee is resolute about taking the stage. The audience eagerly gathers at the venue, and even Amory, armed with a ticket from her father in charge of concert security, joins the crowd. Kuroma, always desiring to see a smile on her family's faces, was moved by the support. Just when Carolee thought she had missed her moment, the cheers from the crowd reach her ears. Rushing to the stage, she discovers an unexpected scene. Iruma, Asmodeus, and Clara, dressed as dem dolls, are stepping up to perform in her place. The trio, determined to save the day, embraces the challenge and takes center stage to entertain the eager audience. The unexpected turn of events transforms the potential disaster into a unique and unforgettable performance, marking a turning point in the tale of the dem doll and her unexpected saviors. In a last-ditch effort to salvage the concert, Iruma turned to Asmodeus and Clara for help. Manager Mal initially declined, stating the audience's preference for cute dem dolls. However, quick-thinking Clara overheard and transformed Asmodeus and Iruma into adorable dem doll outfits. The trio, now decked out in cute dresses, took the stage, and despite a shaky start, they managed to captivate the audience and generate genuine excitement. Carolee, initially dumbfounded by the unexpected turn of events, learned from manager Mal that Iruma had orchestrated the entire performance to prevent the concert from being cancelled. Touched by this gesture, Carolee decided to join in and performed alongside Iruma, creating an unexpected duo that the audience absolutely loved. The concert turned out to be a massive success, with the audience thoroughly hyped. After the performance, Carolee apologized to the organizers for any inconvenience caused. Manager Mal shared the news that Carolee's family had come to heal her and left a note instructing her to take care of herself. Despite their stoic nature, they had left due to the fear of passing out from excitement. Just like Carolee, Iruma, still in awe of Carolee's performance, asked for an autograph. While Carolee remained a bit frustrated, the next day she discovered their photo in the newspaper, showcasing the unexpected collaboration. Touched by Iruma's kindness and support, Carolee felt a newfound desire to befriend him. The unexpected twists and turns of the concert had not only saved the day but also paved the way for a budding friendship between Iruma and the dem doll, Carolee. Iruma's getting cozy in the spooky world of demons, the Netherworld. Picture this, he wakes up, and the once terrifying surroundings seem oddly serene. As he strolls into the dining room, Sullivan gets a chipper good morning from him. Opera, the demon butler extraordinaire, serves up some hellishly grey tea. And there goes Iruma, enthusiastically devouring his food, oblivious to the shenanigans brewing. In the midst of this demonic breakfast, the cacophony of Clara and Asmodeus reaches Iruma's ears. Meanwhile, Sullivan, in a moment of fatherly consideration, offers Iruma the chance to roll in his favorite carriage. But our protagonist, ever the discerning demon, declines, citing the carriage's excessively spooky horses. Fast forward to the entrance of Babel's school, where Clara throws down the gauntlet, challenging Asmodeus to a race. As the demon duo darts off, Clara can't resist a playful jab at Asmodeus's potential fear of losing. Class time begins, but it's not the usual Kaligo-sensei at the helm. Instead, Momonoki-sensei steps in, covering for the absent Morax. Basic magic lessons ensue, keeping the demonic curriculum rolling. Post-class, the students dive into their usual activities. Carolee catches wind of her song topping the Demonican chart, receiving a congratulatory nod from Iruma. Sobnok, in his downtime, plays the Demon King, regurgitating the prophecy about the foreign realm's next ruler. Iruma, being the charmer he is, decides to treat Amory to some first love comics. Amory, enchanted by his narration, playfully hints that the character Irumi suspiciously resembles someone she knows. Oblivious, Iruma's left scratching his head at Amory's cryptic remarks. After class, Iruma cruises through his fun-filled life in the Netherworld, only to be hit with a revelation. He's seamlessly integrated into this demonic dimension. Shock and realization wash over him like a dark wave. The following day finds Iruma in a contemplative mood, reminiscing about his pre-Netherworld days when Sullivan literally dragged him into this supernatural realm. Suddenly, the ever-quirky Clara senses Iruma's melancholy and suggests to Asmodeus that a grand, comforting meal might lift his spirits. Asmodeus, always up for a good time, jumps on board, and the dynamic demon duo heads straight to the campus kitchen for a culinary adventure. Asmodeus finds himself utterly perplexed, staring blankly at Clara's intricate recipe book, deciphering not a single word. His demon ego, however, prevents him from seeking assistance. Suddenly, the atmosphere gets spicy as Clara and Asmodeus engage in a culinary showdown, challenging each other to whip up the dish that would capture Iruma's taste buds. Clara dives into the challenge with gusto, attempting to craft the ultimate dish. Feeling the pressure, she's at a loss until her mother makes a dramatic entrance, revealing the secret ingredient, love. With maternal wisdom, Clara's mom guides her through the culinary maze. Meanwhile, Asmodeus, in his corner, is preparing a feast of premium steaks and other delicacies. The culinary clash intensifies, and the next day, both contestants eagerly present their creations to Iruma for the ultimate taste test. Iruma, the lucky food critic, samples both dishes and declares his love for both. This sparks a new skirmish between Clara and Asmodeus, each claiming victory. Seizing the moment, they playfully force-feed Iruma both dishes simultaneously. In a sudden epiphany, Iruma realizes the combination of flavors and suggests that they try it themselves. With Iruma leading the way, they all indulge in the unique taste, and in a surprising turn, declare the showdown a draw. Even as a human, Iruma revels in the delights of the netherworld. The next day, as Iruma and his friends head to class with smiles on their faces, Sullivan barges into Iruma's room, ready to wake him up for breakfast. To everyone's shock, Iruma, with newfound boldness, silences Sullivan with a demand to tone down the noise. Sullivan, taken aback by the unexpected change in Iruma's demeanor, can only stare in amazement. The next day, Iruma-kun springs his useless self out of bed, practically bouncing with excitement like our ugly exes. At the breakfast table, Grandpa works his magic, quite literally, by filling Iruma's plot armor with a dash of enchantment to keep it from feeling lonely like us. With his belly full from a hearty breakfast, Iruma meets up with his pals at the gate. As ever, the fashionista suggests copying Iruma's hairstyle, but Iruma quickly nixes that idea, much to Az's dismay. Clara, always eager to be helpful, insists on carrying Iruma's bag as they head off to school, drawing envious glances from other demon kids who wish they could enjoy a leisurely stroll like them. Suddenly, Clara goes into turbo mode, racing ahead towards the school, prompting the others to sprint after her. In the garbage room, chaos reigns as trash is strewn everywhere, much to the workers' dismay. But fear not, for Iruma, Clara, and Ez come to the rescue, lending a hand to clean up the mess. Little do they know, their good deed doesn't go unnoticed by their watchful teacher. Once in class, the teacher tells them it's time to buckle their ugly ass and prepare for the dreaded end-of-term tests. In the next class, they dive into practicing their transformation magic, attempting to change the color of a jarred frog with their spells. Iruma taps into his devil mode magic, chanting the incantation Cherusel, and voila! The frog's hue is magically altered. As lunchtime approaches, Az quizzes Iruma on his lunch preferences, while Clara dashes off to snag the coveted W lunch. Az hotfoots it after her, determined to prevent any further shenanigans. But just as they're about to dig in, Iruma's ring starts acting up, emitting a mysterious black shadow that sends shivers down his spine. Desperate to keep it under wraps, Iruma engages in a clandestine conversation with the shadow, unaware that they've been spotted by their curious classmates. In a quiet moment in the prep room, the shadow reveals its true purpose, admonishing Iruma for not using his magical powers wisely. It explains that Iruma's imagination is the key to unlocking greater feats of magic, demonstrated by his ability to transform the frog's color simply by envisioning it. With a challenge laid down, Iruma casts a spell on the shadow, morphing it into a fearsome one-eyed devil monster that looks quite similar to our exes. As they banter back and forth, the shadow, now dubbing himself Lil Uru, suggests a new moniker for Iruma. Meanwhile, Amory stumbles upon a surprising sight, a disgusting-looking Iruma gracing the notice board. Determined to rectify this fashion faux pas, Iruma tries his hand at a wardrobe change, with disastrous results. It's only when the ring suggests imagining the unimaginable that Iruma ends up in a dress that even catches Amory off guard. And so, amidst the chaos of magical mishaps and fashion faux pas, Iruma attempts to explain to Amory that he was actually practicing magic with his ring, but she dismisses him as delusional for conversing with an inanimate object. Undeterred, Iruma implores the ring's shadow to come forth and clarify things to Amory. However, the ring adamantly refuses, insisting on remaining hidden at all costs. Crushed by the rejection, Iruma's tears start to flow, but the ring offers a glimmer of hope, promising to reveal itself if there's any possible way. Feeling at a loss, Iruma considers confiding in his grandpa about the ring's peculiar behavior. However, Grandpa's remedy for such concerns involves a comforting glass of milk followed by a soothing opera performance to lull Iruma to sleep. Meanwhile, in the library, Aiko teams up with Gakko to devise a plan to capture snapshots of Iruma in action. In the quiet corners of the library, Iruma delves into research about the ring, hoping to uncover its mysteries. Yet, when he recounts the incidents caused by the ring, it remains oblivious to them, recalling only the time it led him to encounter Kariwo. Frustrated by the lack of answers, Iruma realizes a pattern. The ring, whom he refers to as Ollie-san, began communicating with him when he reached rank 3. This revelation dawns upon him that as his own rank increases, Ollie-san's abilities also evolve. With newfound clarity, Iruma resolves to elevate his rank further to facilitate Ollie-san's growth. Sullivan, relieved to see Iruma back to his usual self, watches over him with a sense of reassurance. As night falls, Iruma drifts off to sleep, momentarily at peace. However, a lingering concern tugs at his mind, the unresolved misunderstanding with Amory. Meanwhile, Aiko's perseverance pays off as she finally grasps the intricacies of her camera endeavors, setting the stage for many more adventures to come. Amory finds herself plagued by dreams of Iruma clad in fluffy attire for 3 consecutive nights, causing her significant stress. At the breakfast table, her concerned father inquires about her well-being, to which she admits to having troubled sleep. His response is less than comforting, as he sternly declares that if Iruma is the cause of her distress, he will never approve of her dating his useless ass. In school, Amory's mind drifts to thoughts of the manga she enjoys, seeking solace in its pages. However, her reverie is interrupted by the student council members, prompting her frustration when they unwittingly mention furry and fluffy subjects. Storming off to begin her rounds, she wrestles with worries about Iruma's interests and her father's misconceptions about him. Meanwhile, Kurori takes it upon herself to coerce Iruma into donning a girl's dress and posing for a photo, capitalizing on the demand for the enigmatic Dem doll. Just as she succeeds, Amory appears, seething with anger as she drags Iruma to the student council office. In the office, Amory initiates a conference call, advising someone to bring another individual as well. Elsewhere, Clara and Eza await Iruma's arrival, only to be intercepted by the student council members and escorted away. Amory confronts Iruma, revealing her plan to address his involvement in the Battler. With Kariwo, the third-year member, on leave, the Battler lacks both a third-year representative and a 3 Delta member, necessitating a hiatus. However, she assures Iruma of his opportunity to reinstate it later through training and integration with other Battlers. As part of this plan, Iruma is assigned to the student council, necessitating his residence in the student dorms. There, they adhere to strict schedules, including grooming, warm-ups, and rigorous council duties. Their training extends to running drills, made all the more daunting by the specter of a pursuing monster. During a teacher's meeting, Iruma earns praise for his appearance in the student council uniform. Following their tasks in the garden, lunchtime brings disappointment for Iruma as meager rations leave him disheartened. Amory offers a lesson in resilience, urging him never to reveal weakness before abruptly intervening to discipline a misbehaving demon student. Amidst the chaos of the evil cycle, where devil students succumb to sadistic and elvish desires, Amory confronts a student on the brink of committing a heinous act, cannibalism. Swiftly intervening, she interrupts a potentially catastrophic situation, underscoring the importance of her role in maintaining order. In the sanctity of the student council office, Sullivan arrives bearing gifts for Iruma, only to be denied entry by Amory, asserting her authority as the one in charge. Once inside, she instructs Iruma to remove his uniform, surprising him with the request to indulge in reading their beloved manga together. As they immerse themselves in the story, Amory listens intently to Iruma's narration, finding solace in their shared moment. However, their tranquility is shattered when a cup handle breaks off, an ominous omen that sets Amory on edge. Unbeknownst to her, in a clandestine location, an unseen black devil meticulously collects images of Amory, hinting at darker machinations at play. Or that could just be my uncle, either or. Meanwhile, at Sullivan's home, his distress over Iruma's prolonged absence weighs heavily on him, with Opera offering comfort in his time of need. Back at the student dorms, another day begins, with the student council members diligently attending to their daily duties. Iruma shines in his performance, yet struggles with the meager portions served in the cafeteria. Curious about their motivations, Iruma queries his fellow council members about why they joined. Their unanimous response centers on their admiration for President Amory, praising her tireless dedication and resolve. Amory, observing Iruma's earnest efforts to adapt, acknowledges their praise, affirming their unique qualities. However, their harmonious moment is interrupted by an unexpected announcement summoning Amory to prep room number 3. Upon arrival, she is ambushed by an assailant wielding a spray, leaving her defenseless and vulnerable. The revelation that none had called for her presence raises alarms among the council members, who rush to her aid. Finding Amory in a state of distress, they offer comfort and assistance, shielding her from prying eyes. Amory, shaken but resilient, beseeches her father to understand her intentions for involving Iruma in the student council, yet once again, she is met with misunderstanding and frustration. In the Demon School of Babels, the student council is tasked with maintaining order among mischievous demons, with Amory serving as its president. However, her sudden transformation from a stern and formidable leader to a gentle and fragile figure leaves everyone perplexed. The council members are baffled by her drastic change, unable to comprehend what could have caused it. Iruma, curious about the mysterious shift in Amory's demeanor, notices a subtle breeze behind a wall, hinting at something amiss. Meanwhile, Az, troubled by the situation, yearns to support Iruma but finds himself whisked away by his battler comrade. Elsewhere, Smoke expresses concern that Amory needs to return to her former self promptly to fulfill her duties. Despite an investigation by a teacher, it's revealed that the spell cast upon Amory is exceedingly complex, making it challenging to break without her cooperation. The solution: Amory must gradually break free from the spell by adhering to her usual routine. However, the following day brings a stark departure from the norm, as Amory forgoes the usual morning workout in favor of tea and sweets, approaching her duties with an uncharacteristically light-hearted demeanor. This shift leads to a slew of incomplete tasks and disarray within the council. As tensions mount, the council members scramble to uncover the mastermind behind Amory's enchantment. Their investigation leads them to a surprising discovery. Romi Sama, alias Renov Ramery, president of the disciplinary battler, harbors long-standing ambitions to seize control of the student council. With Amory rendered powerless, Romery seizes the opportunity to declare war, proposing an election that could dissolve the existing council if they fail to secure victory. Amidst the chaos, Iruma intervenes when Romery barely touches Amory's hair, symbolically thwarting his aggression. Romery departs, leaving the council room adorned with flowers, but the looming threat of his next move hangs heavy in the air. As night falls, the council grapples with uncertainty about Romery's intentions. The following day, their fears are realized as Romery takes to the stage, enticing voters with grandiose promises and delusional offers in his bid for power. As Romery promises the greatest fun time in Babels ever, excitement ripples through the student body, with hundreds pledging their support. Meanwhile, the student council members fret over Amory's struggle to garner votes, realizing the daunting challenge they face. In the hallway, a demon boy attempts to befriend Az, but his efforts are thwarted when Iruma receives an urgent phone call and rushes off. Meanwhile, chaos ensues in the game battler as Clara wreaks havoc, her antics unchecked until she finally succumbs to sleep. Like clockwork, Iruma reaches out to Clara as well. Contemplating seeking assistance from Kaelgo, Iruma ultimately decides against it. Suddenly, Amory appears and engages him in conversation, providing a moment of respite amidst the chaos. In the common room, Iruma awaits Amory's arrival, only to be confronted by Ollie-san, who expresses his discontent at feeling abandoned. Iruma extends a heartfelt apology and seeks his guidance regarding Amory's condition. Ollie-san reveals that while he possesses knowledge of a potential solution, the complexity of the spell's effects makes it challenging to unravel. Ollie-san likens Amory's condition to a tangled thread, emphasizing the need for a triggering event to initiate the untangling process. Intrigued, Iruma probes for clues, but their discussion is cut short as Amory emerges from her room in her student council uniform. Meanwhile, Az exhibits a prickly demeanor towards others, particularly when the conversation turns to Iruma. His loyalty and concern for his friend are evident, even in his brusque interactions with his peers. As Amory emerges from her room in her previous outfit, Iruma's heart swells with excitement, only to realize that she hasn't truly returned to her former self. Shyness washes over her as she meets Iruma's gaze, donning her old uniform in a bid to regain the student's favor. Sitting with Iruma, she expresses gratitude for the efforts of the student council members, but laments that their actions were driven by nostalgia rather than genuine understanding. Conveying her desire to shed the responsibilities of presidency and embrace the life of a regular student, Amory confides in Iruma. However, he gently reminds her that while it may be her ideal, it doesn't align with her true ambitions. He assures her that her worth transcends her title, affirming her inherent beauty and uniqueness. Touched by his words, Amory stands up with renewed determination, seeking Iruma's unwavering support. In the hallways, Clara and Az embark on their respective missions to uncover the culprit behind Amory's enchantment, spurred on by Iruma's directive. Meanwhile, Iruma delves into researching matter-altering magic, hoping to uncover clues that may aid their investigation. On election day, Romery dazzles the crowd with his energetic performance, captivating the devil students with his charisma. As Amory takes the stage, however, her nerves betray her, leading to mockery and disinterest from the audience. Undeterred, Amory musters her resolve, rallying the crowd with her vision of elevating Babels to greatness. Her impassioned speech resonates with the students, swaying them to her side. As she extends a heartfelt apology to those she may have wronged, a familiar face emerges from the crowd, hinting at a revelation yet to come. In the midst of the crowd, Amory locks eyes with Iruma, finally realizing her true feelings for him. As the election concludes, Romary is disheartened by the prospect of dissolving his battler. However, Iruma, accompanied by Az and Clara, arrives to reveal the true culprit, second-year student Aligoth Chanel, whose obsession with Amory led him to manipulate events in an attempt to see her in a more ladylike light. Amory administers punishment to Aligoth, compelling him to fulfill his duties 50 times over. She expresses gratitude to useless Az and Clara for their assistance, extending an offer of membership in the student council to Romary as a gesture of reconciliation. Additionally, she permits Iruma to reinstate his magical apparatus battler and extends an invitation for him to officially join the student council battler. However, Iruma declines, opting to pursue his own ambitions and requesting the return of his friends to his battler, a request which Amory grants. Later, at home, Iruma converses with Amory over the phone, where she expresses how much everyone misses him in the student council battler. Meanwhile, Ollie-san emerges from the ring, praising Iruma's girlfriend, referring to Amory, though Iruma quickly silences him. Reflecting on Amory's behavior, Iruma ponders the object of her fixation, wondering if it was her desire to appear cute in his eyes. Simultaneously, Amory blushes as she grapples with her newfound realization of her feelings for Iruma, making it one of her ambitions. She wonders if Iruma is ready for what lies ahead. Meanwhile, Aiko finds herself in a state of confusion, torn between her feelings for Iruma, the charming president, and the admirable qualities of Amory. Lost in her thoughts, she retreats into her own world. Upon returning from the student council, Iruma finds Sullivan organizing a welcome party for him every day, extending invitations to his friends as well. As Iruma hesitates to send the invitation message, Ollie-san startles him, causing him to accidentally hit send. Quickly, Iruma's friends, Az and Clara, confirm their attendance. With the party underway, Az brings greetings from his mother, while Clara relays hellos from her numerous siblings. Before they can exchange gifts, Clara presents Iruma with a demango, containing a thrilling surprise, a monster. Gathered around the dining table, they indulge in a feast prepared by Opera, interrupted only by her suggestion to start with a gaming session. The gaming console launches into a dancing game, challenging them to outdo the operator. Engaging in lively dance-offs, they navigate through the game's obstacles, with Opera emerging as the victor, followed by Az, Clara, Iruma, and Sullivan, who humorously laments his last-place finish. Determined to redeem himself, Sullivan proposes a game of Dark Parade in the mansion's basement. As they venture into the dimly lit corridors, Sullivan secretly arranges for a faux monster encounter, only to be surprised when Az and Clara easily dispatch it with their magic. Undeterred, Iruma urges them to continue the Dark Parade, leading them to a mysterious hallway. Unbeknownst to them, it holds memories from Sullivan's childhood, revealed with the help of Opera. However, their exploration is interrupted by the emergence of a real monster from behind the boxes, signaling the start of an unexpected adventure. As Az summons his familiar to combat the monster, it becomes evident that the creature easily overpowers fire-based attacks. However, Sullivan discerns that the monster is merely a projection orchestrated by Opera. Stepping into the fray, Sullivan swiftly dispatches the illusion, earning praise from the children. Their attention then turns to a treasure box, which Iruma opens to reveal a delightful treat crafted from the demango and fruit brought by his friends. Impressed by Opera's ingenuity, Sullivan commends her efforts, declaring the treat as their reward for reaching the deepest depths. Grateful for the gesture, Iruma, Az, and Clara express their appreciation, relishing the dessert as Sullivan remains contemplative. During dessert, Iruma invites Clara and Az to linger a while longer, leading them to his room where they enjoy playing together. Bid farewell at the gate, they promise to return, leaving Iruma feeling content. Returning to Sullivan, Iruma expresses gratitude for the memorable day. That night, Ollie-san engages Iruma in conversation, noting his struggles with understanding Amory's transformation and the concept of the evil cycle. Seeing Iruma's perseverance, Ollie-san decides to intervene, nudging Iruma towards a solution. Iruma, in turn, casts a spell on Ollie-san, transforming him into a mischievous character. The next morning, Sullivan and Opera visit Iruma's room with a glass of milk. At least one of our father came back with the milk, only to be taken aback by Iruma's disrespectful demeanor. Perplexed by his sudden change in behavior, Iruma-kun awakens under Ollie-san's spell, exhibiting disrespectful behavior towards his loving grandpa, leaving everyone perplexed by the sudden change. At breakfast, his mood remains sour, evident from his demeanor towards Sullivan. Handing his bag to Az and criticizing Clara, Iruma's behavior continues to baffle those around him. As they arrive at school, his classmates are taken aback by his uncharacteristic conduct. Concerned classmates turn to Clara for an explanation, who reveals that Iruma is experiencing an evil cycle characterized by heightened aggression and extreme tendencies due to Oli-sen's spell. Iruma's erratic behavior escalates when he calls Clara to sit on his lap. Led by Iruma's peculiar scent, the misfit class ventures outside, where they encounter a garbage dump. Iruma uses his magic to conjure a massive black shadow, declaring his intent to transform the misfit class into a castle. Their unexpected display of power leaves ordinary students awestruck and hesitant to challenge them. A confrontation ensues in the hallway when a demon boy disrespects Iruma behind his back, only to stumble in his presence, facing the powerful ranked misfit class. Iruma decides to forgive his useless ass, but tells him that next time, say it to his face. In Caligo's office, Iruma articulates his demands for improved facilities for the misfit class, highlighting the unacceptable conditions of their current classroom, saying they haven't did shit. But Caligo pulls out the motherfricking fact book on their useless asses, and lists about every dang troublesome act these motherfrickers have done. You obviously can't forget this perverted ass owl, who actually needs to be at the bottom of the entire demon school. Iruma basically said forget the facts and demands to put in the royal classroom, previously occupied by the lost demon king, Durkilla, as a solution to their plight. Undeterred, Iruma defiantly challenges Caligo, vowing to secure signed permission from every faculty member to utilize the prestigious royal classroom for the misfit class. Although Caligo initially offers a week for this task, Iruma negotiates and accepts the challenge within 3 days. Outside Caligo's office, curious normal students attempt to eavesdrop, prompting Iruma to remind them of proper garbage disposal etiquette. Meanwhile, Caligo faces scrutiny from the faculty, who question his decision to promise the royal classroom. Despite the botany teacher's eagerness to support the idea, Caligo imposes punishment, basically saying, "I wish your green leprechaun self would try me," highlighting the uphill battle awaiting Iruma and his classmates. Feeling daunted by the seemingly insurmountable task ahead, the misfit class accompanies Iruma to the gates of the royal room, marveling at its grandeur. Iruma reminds them of their involvement in Romari's election, leveraging their support as prime candidates for the classroom. Describing the room's amenities, including a gaming area and a soundproof chamber, Iruma rallies their excitement, urging them to embrace the opportunity for popularity and success. With renewed determination, the misfit class pledges their commitment to reclaiming their rights. Iruma appoints Andro M. Jazz as their vanguard and reassures Aiko that, despite his altered behavior, his eating habits remain unchanged. As they embark on their mission to secure the royal classroom, Iruma and his classmates vow to cause significant disruptions, determined to assert their rightful place within the school. Iruma decides to delegate the task of being the vanguard to none other than Andro M. Jess. Meanwhile, Caligo is peacefully minding his own business in his office when he's suddenly disturbed by some commotion. Venturing out, he discovers the botany teacher gleefully stomping on permission letters. Little does Caligo know, Iruma is scheming to pilfer some of his possessions. After some plotting, Iruma, accompanied by Andro, confronts Caligo. In a bold move, Iruma confesses that obtaining Caligo's stamp on the permission letter seemed as unlikely as finding a unicorn, so they opted for Plan B, borrowing it from his trusty familiar. This declaration sparks a fiery debate between Caligo and Iruma. Andro unveils his secret weapon, his magical ability to peer into Caligo's robes, revealing the coveted stamp. With a flick of his serpent-like fingers, Andro effortlessly retrieves the stamp, much to the relief of Iruma and himself. However, their relief is short-lived as Caligo intercepts them in the hallway, sending shivers down their spines. Thankfully, Caligo surprises them by requesting Iruma return the familiar stamp, diffusing the tense atmosphere. As they part ways, Andro discreetly pulls out a tiny diary, hinting at his knack for secrets. Their next stop, Momonoki, where they present Caligo's planner, uncovering juicy tidbits about his feelings towards fellow instructors. Unable to resist the temptation, Momonoki gladly stamps the permission letter, setting the ball rolling for their mission. Their journey continues as they seek the approval of other instructors. Aloysius Schneider, the academic ace, swiftly resolves magical knowledge instructor Furkas's dilemma, earning them another stamp. Meanwhile, two demon classmates charm magical knowledge instructor Morax into signing the permission letter by citing Furkas's endorsement. Elsewhere, Aggers, Picero, and Gop sweet talk Susie into granting them 3 signed permission letters after smoothing out her land. Az, accompanied by Jazz, seeks assistance from a senior, trading fiery secrets for juicy gossip about the teachers. Back at school, Iruma receives heartening news from an old caretaker about Susie's delight in the cleared fields. Reunited with Az, Clara, and Andro, Iruma rejoices at the collection of stamps they've amassed. However, his reluctance to aid the old helper exposes a glimpse of his darker side, leaving Az and Andro taken aback. In Sullivan's abode, a decision is made to restore the good-natured Iruma, who surprises everyone by promptly requesting Sullivan's signature on the permission letter, to which Sullivan readily obliges, sealing their triumph. Later at the dinner table, when Sullivan requests a photo, Iruma initially declines, but then surprises everyone by suggesting a group selfie. Meanwhile, Aiko stumbles upon Iruma buried under a mountain of permission letters. Emerging from the paperwork, Iruma proudly announces that they've amassed 21 stamps but still need 15 more, excluding Caligo's elusive stamp. Concerned about potential resistance from instructors due to Caligo's disapproval, the group strategizes their next moves. The challenge lies in securing stamps from the formidable astrology instructor Orias Oswald and the enigmatic healing arts instructor Buer Blashenko. Lyde and Elizabetta devise a cunning plan to coax a stamp out of Orias by challenging him to a game. Meanwhile, Sabnok faces off against Blashenko in a physical duel for his stamp. Not to be outdone, Iruma decides to leverage the support of the student council to sway reluctant instructors. He swiftly contacts Amory for assistance. Clara concocts a diabolically difficult game for the gaming challenge, featuring strict rules and dance intervals to test Orias' skills. Despite Sensory Bundit's attempts to blind him, Orias employs clever strategies to gain the upper hand. Meanwhile, Blashenko asserts his invincibility due to his self-healing abilities. However, Sabnok humbly apologizes for his past aggression and acknowledges Iruma's influence on his newfound compassion, ultimately earning Blashenko's respect and stamp. Iruma persuades Amory to sign the permission letter by appealing to the Misfit class's quest for justice. With Amory's signature secured, the group gathers in the Misfit classroom, exhilarated by their collection of 36 stamps. As the final hurdle, Momonoki returns Caligo's planner, inadvertently tipping him off to the Misfit scheme. Caligo's smug grin at the realization brings joy to Momonoki's heart. Amory, Blashenko, and Orias graciously hand over their signed permission letters to Iruma, marking the culmination of their efforts. With all faculty signatures except one, Robin confronts Caligo about his intentions. However, Caligo has a different plan brewing. Near the garden, the old janitor marvels at Iruma's flourishing plant seedlings, a testament to his care. Meanwhile, in Caligo's office, the Misfit class proudly displays their collection of signatures, eagerly anticipating their move to the royal room. They implore Caligo to sign the permission letters, but he sets a challenging condition. Caligo demands that Iruma obtain signatures from every staff member at Babel's, including cafeteria and janitorial staff. The Misfit students are crestfallen, but Caligo insists it's his duty to safeguard Babel's from potential dangers. Suddenly, a knock interrupts their conversation, and the old janitor enters, presenting a signed permission letter. To their surprise, he rallies all the other staff members, who enter with their own signed letters, expressing gratitude to Iruma for his past assistance. Moved by their gestures, Caligo finally stamps the permission letter, granting the Misfit class entry into the royal room. On the day of the grand opening, a multitude of students gathers to witness the event. Orias commends the Misfits for transforming their reputation from oddballs to exemplary students, drawing admiration from their peers. However, when Orias inquires about Iruma's whereabouts for the gaming battle, Agers somberly reveals that Iruma's participation is impossible. Instead, Iruma retreats to the food stall, where a lavish feast awaits him. Despite the astonishment of his peers, Iruma's insatiable appetite reveals glimpses of his dark past, leaving everyone bewildered yet intrigued. Az excitedly informs Iruma that they've finally won the royal classroom, but Iruma humbly corrects him, emphasizing that it's the entire Misfit class's victory. As the opening ceremony commences, Caligo makes his grand entrance. Iruma queries whether Caligo secured permission from the chairperson, per Sullivan's advice to make the ceremony memorable. Caligo unlocks the seal and recounts the classroom's history, revealing it was originally prepared for a demon of unmatched prowess named Urkila-sama. With the heavy keys ceremoniously turned by instructors, the gates to the royal classroom swing open, and the Misfit class eagerly rushes inside, awestruck by its regal splendor. Amidst their admiration, Iruma boldly claims the throne-like chair, symbolizing their triumph. However, the following morning, the spell cast by Ali-san wears off, returning Iruma to his normal self. Concerned by his previous behavior, Iruma confronts Ali-san before seeking forgiveness from his grandfather, Az, Clara, and Amory. Despite Amory's initial tension, she quickly forgives Iruma, recognizing his remorse. In the royal classroom, Iruma apologizes to his classmates for his past actions, but they assure him of their support and happiness for their collective achievement. In a touching moment, Iruma, now back in his throne, captures a memorable picture with Caligo and his classmates. Meanwhile, in the garden, the seedling planted by Iruma blooms into a beautiful blue flower, symbolizing growth and renewal. As the festivities continue, Sullivan and Opera snap pictures with Iruma, expressing appreciation for both his reformed self and his former mischievous persona. Despite the changes, they fondly acknowledge the complexity of Iruma's character, embracing all facets of his identity. Ever since Iruma stepped foot into the demon world, he's faced numerous challenges. However, none seem as daunting as the prospect of studying. When he encounters Az and Clara at school, Clara clings to Iruma, much to the bewilderment of their classmates in the royal classroom. Iruma realizes Clara's attachment stems from her fear of him reverting to his mischievous ways. Despite their classmates' attempts to persuade her otherwise, Clara remains steadfast in her determination to stick by Iruma's side. Eventually, their classmates join in, creating a comical scene of everyone clinging to Iruma. Their moment is interrupted by Caligo, who announces that their classes have been shortened in preparation for the upcoming end-of-terminus exams. This period marks the end of the term, where students either return home or focus on battler training during the vacation. However, Caligo warns them of the looming classroom exams and the consequences of failing supplementary classes. The Misfit class is filled with anxiety at the thought of these exams, particularly Iruma, who confides in Az and Clara about his struggles with studying. Despite Clara's blunt assessment of his academic abilities, they resolve to work together to prepare for the exams. Just as they're strategizing, Amory assigns Chanel to Iruma, tasking him with keeping an eye on her. However, Clara and Az's antics inadvertently lead to Chanel joining the magical apparatus battler group, complicating matters for Iruma. Az warns Iruma about the consequences of failing the end-of-terminus exams, which could lower his rank. Meanwhile, at home, Grandpa frets over Iruma's test scores, but Opera insists on letting him tackle the exams independently, believing in his potential. In his room, Ollie-san expresses gratitude to Iruma for his kindness, to which Iruma promises to do his best not to fail. Meanwhile, Ez and Clara are astonished to find the Misfit class diligently studying in the royal classroom. However, Sabnok and Kurori opt out of immediate study sessions, believing that rushing leads to mistakes. Undeterred, Iruma, Az, and Clara embark on their study session together. Unfortunately, both Iruma and Clara falter in the quiz portion. Their struggles continue in the Magic Basics quiz, where despite their efforts, Iruma fails to select the correct answer. In the astrology class, Az poses a question to Iruma, who seeks Clara's assistance. However, Clara's answer is incorrect, prompting Az to step in and provide the correct one. Conversely, Clara excels in the pharmaceutics class, impressing her classmates with her knowledge. Attempting to reciprocate, Clara challenges Iruma with a question, resulting in a noisy exchange that draws concern from their classmates. Suddenly, the zoology book before Iruma transforms, gaining limbs and becoming animated. It quizzes Iruma on human-related topics, to which he flawlessly responds, earning cheers from his peers. Encouraged by their success, they delve into Netherworld history, with Iruma eagerly agreeing to learn more. However, their plans take an unexpected turn when they attempt to attend Dolly-sensei's class, only to be ensnared in mysterious green threads upon meeting Balam-sensei. In a lighter moment, Chanel concocts a potion to enhance Iruma's intelligence, but inadvertently transforms Clara instead. Az implores Chanel to rectify the situation and restore Clara to her former self. Balam kicks off his lesson on imaginary beasts in the Netherworld history room, painting a vivid picture of their carnivorous tendencies, likening them to a demon cat feasting on a demon bird. Iruma, now enlightened, understands why students avoid Balam due to his propensity for touchy-feely experiments. Balam's habit of selecting students for experiments based on his touch adds an eerie aura to his lectures. Demonstrating with a dummy human, Balam probes the class about their hypothetical reactions to encountering a human. Most express a desire to consume the human, but one student inquires about Balam's response. Surprisingly, Balam reveals he'd inquire about the human's survival methods, sparking a discussion on demon evolution and wing production. However, Balam's attention turns to Iruma when he realizes he lacks wings. Seizing Iruma, Balam rushes to the teacher's staff room to showcase this anomaly. Upon inspection, they discover wing-like appendages, courtesy of Ollie-san's magic. Mistaking them for small wings, the teachers brush off the misunderstanding. Deciding to steer clear of Balam, Iruma is startled when Balam reveals he's diagnosed him with a mysterious ailment or deemed him a unique creature. Removing his face mask to reveal his fangs, Balam shares his own vulnerability, explaining his fear of ridicule. In a moment of candor, Iruma confesses his humanity, shocking Balam. Recalling his own childhood experiences of being teased for his fascination with humans, Balam struggles to comprehend Iruma's revelation. He quizzes Iruma about wings or tails, only to receive a negative response, further deepening the mystery surrounding Iruma's identity. Balaam, still reeling from the revelation about Iruma's humanity, retreats behind a wooden box, urging Iruma to keep his distance. However, when Iruma innocently touches him, Balaam's startled reaction causes him to stumble and fall. Expressing concern, Balaam admits that other demons might not react kindly if they discovered Iruma's secret. Iruma confides in Balaam, admitting his exhaustion from hiding his true nature and his desire to share his secret with someone. Moved by Iruma's vulnerability, Balaam launches into a lengthy lecture on the importance of protecting his human identity, offering guidance and support. Returning to the classroom, Iruma finds his classmates exhausted from their end of terminus preparations. They decide to split the class into groups based on academic performance, but Az, preoccupied with supporting Iruma, declines to participate in teaching. Curious about Babel's vacation, Iruma listens eagerly as his classmates describe the exciting adventures awaiting them, from amusement parks to water parks and shopping sprees. Overwhelmed with happiness, Iruma sheds tears of joy at the prospect of such fun-filled activities. However, Caligo interjects, reminding them that passing their exams is a prerequisite for enjoying the vacation. He also announces his role as supervisor for supplementary classes, emphasizing the importance of diligence in their studies. Contemplating the idea of cheating to pass the exams, Iruma seeks advice from Jazz, who warns him of the risks involved, citing the high likelihood of cheaters getting caught. Suddenly, Balaam's sensei arrives in the classroom, greeted warmly by Caligo. Balaam informs Iruma that he's come to check on him and offer assistance with the exams, launching into a tale about 3 siblings as a means of imparting wisdom and guidance. As the end of terminus exams conclude, Caligo wastes no time in announcing the results, catching the students off guard. However, to their delight, Caligo reveals that none of them need to attend supplementary classes. The students erupt in cheers and jubilation at the news, relieved to be spared from additional studying. Further adding to their excitement, Caligo announces that those with good grades will advance from Aleph to Bet. To everyone's surprise, Iruma receives special recognition for showing the greatest improvement. Eager to share his achievement, Iruma rushes to inform Balaam's sensei, only to be taken aback by Balaam's new hairstyle. Balaam attributes his bold change to Iruma's encouragement and presents him with a salamander flower capable of spitting fire. Balaam explains that with Iruma's newfound knowledge, he can control the flames from the flower. Moved by Iruma's support, Balaam credits him for inspiring his transformation. Meanwhile, the Misfit class rejoices at the prospect of avoiding supplementary classes. In a hallway encounter, Caligo stops Balaam's Skikro and acknowledges him as one of the few demons with a Ket rank, second only to Caligo himself. Balaam's Skikro's unique ability to detect falsehoods intrigues Caligo, who envisions utilizing it to maintain order among the students. However, Balaam reveals that there's still one student he can't read, much to the Misfits' delight. While Amri eagerly awaits Iruma with special hell tea, Clara interrupts with news that Iruma won't be joining them. Instead, Clara leads Iruma to an exclusive girls-only gathering, where they indulge in girl talk over the special tea. Amri and Kurori discuss shampoo preferences, with Kurori revealing her identity as the famous Dem doll Kiramu. When asked about her routine, Clara surprises them all by admitting to using only soap for both her body and hair, sparking laughter and camaraderie among the girls. As the girls indulge in shampoo discussions, they generously offer their own selections to Clara. Meanwhile, the boys revel in a lively party filled with singing and dancing, with Iruma even treating everyone to a song that delights the crowd. While the girls delve into discussions about relationships, Clara admits her fondness for Iruma, sparking surprise and jealousy among her friends. Amri, taken aback by Clara's confession, offers advice on initiating contact with boys based on her own experiences. When asked about her crush, Kurori conceals her feelings for Iruma, prompting further inquiries from her curious friends. Clara, attempting to diffuse the tension, declares her affection for everyone in the class. However, her friends push further, questioning if she loves Iruma enough to consider marriage, leading to a spirited debate on various relationship milestones. The heated argument, fueled by the effects of the hell relaxation tea, eventually dissipates as the girls reconcile and praise each other's qualities. They exchange contact information for future gatherings, solidifying their newfound friendship. Upon Iruma's unexpected entrance, the girls assert their desire to continue their girls-only time, prompting Iruma's departure with a playful rejection. In a lighthearted twist, Az informs Aiko of Iruma's hard work, inspiring Aiko to simplify formulas to aid Iruma's understanding. Unexpectedly, Aiko's efforts propel her into the top 10 positions, a delightful outcome of her dedication. Sullivan eagerly anticipates the summer break, while Opera, having aided him in becoming a beloved grandfather figure, approaches him with a special request. Whispering her wish into his ear, Opera leaves Sullivan intrigued. Meanwhile, Caligo tends to his demon plants, looking forward to some relaxation. However, his tranquility is disrupted by ominous thunderclouds, sparking his suspicion. During a staff meeting, Sullivan announces his intention to conduct home visits to the misfit students. Caligo, initially dismayed by the prospect, begrudgingly complies with the chair demon's directive. His first visit takes him to Az's home, where he discovers that Az hasn't informed his parents about the visit. As Caligo discusses Az's academic performance, Az redirects the conversation to praise Iruma. Caligo urges Az to focus on himself, but Az's attention remains fixated on Iruma. Observing Az's obsession with Iruma, Caligo listens as the old butler sheds light on Az's transformation since Iruma's arrival. Recognizing Az's potential, Caligo acknowledges that his dedication to Iruma may hinder his own growth. After a lengthy discussion with the butler, Caligo departs for Clara's home. Welcomed warmly at the door, Caligo is taken aback by the sight of Clara and her family holding welcome cards. Initially hesitant to enter, Caligo finds himself pulled inside by Clara and her siblings, who entertain him with dancing and singing. However, their festivities are interrupted by Clara's elder brother, who reprimands them for bothering their teacher. Despite Clara's mischievous nature, Caligo acknowledges her uniqueness and generosity to her family, reflecting on her impact at school. As Caligo visits various students' homes, he witnesses different family dynamics and encounters unique situations. At Clara's home, her family's considerate nature prompts Caligo to acknowledge that Clara has the potential to excel as a demon student. Leaving Clara's home with gift bags in tow, Caligo proceeds to spar with Garp Dojo's father and deals with Jazz's brother attempting to pilfer his wallet at Jazz's residence. Meanwhile, at Agarz's home, Caligo struggles to wake Agarz from his slumber, while at another student's home, he finds himself constantly offered food. Arriving at Sullivan's home, Caligo eagerly seeks out Sullivan, only to be interrupted by Opera, who asserts her seniority over Caligo. Sullivan reminisces about Caligo's rowdy student days, where he was unfairly blamed for trouble caused by Opera. Upon discovering Opera's role in the past incidents, Caligo confronts her, but she insists on her authority over him. During their meeting, Sullivan inquires about Iruma's performance, prompting Caligo to remark on Iruma's knack for navigating various challenges. As Caligo prepares to depart, Opera arrives with supplies and changes Caligo's familiar's color to pink. In the aftermath of Caligo's school visits, he assigns the misfit class a hefty amount of homework as punishment. Meanwhile, during summer vacation, Iruma is unsure of his plans until Clara and Az invite him to join them and the other misfit students at the water park. Sullivan, sensing Iruma's uncertainty, packs him provisions and encourages him to seek help when needed. In a humorous twist, Opera attempts to filter out unnecessary items from Iruma's supplies, only for Sullivan to decide to accompany Iruma himself, ensuring an unexpected adventure awaits. There was this grumpy old demon king who'd been working his tail off for 30 straight days. But then, hallelujah, summer break arrived, and everyone could finally kick back and relax. So, picture this, all the students are chilling in their casual gear, ready to enjoy the sunshine. At the entrance of Walter Park, you've got Caligo, Balam, and Opera hanging out, thanks to orders from Sullivan. But Caligo's like, nah, not feeling the Opera vibe. Meanwhile, the misfit crew is fawning over Balam's fresh new do. Iruma's wondering where Alloser went, and Jazz fills him in. Conference time with Furkas. Amory's psyched because Iruma invited her out, but turns out it's not a date. Bummer. Then, boom, the door swings open, and in swoops a Joker bird welcoming them to Fantasy City. They hear about a Dem Doll concert going down and wonder if mysterious Kiramu-chan will make an appearance. Clara's all set to bust out her costume, but Iruma's like, hold up, no Dem Dolls here. They try to pick a game but get overwhelmed by all the options, so they decide to split up. Instructors ain't having it though, only 3 of them to keep an eye on these troublemakers. Clara suggests a competition to see who can have the most fun, with the instructors treating the winners. Caligo's not having it, though. He lays down the law, losers do triple homework duty. Az is gunning to be on Iruma's team again, and Opera's like, let fate decide. But wouldn't you know it, Az and Iruma end up together anyway. Balam's supposed to keep an eye on them, while Opera gets stuck with the girl squad. Caligo winds up with the sobbiest bunch of misfits you ever did see. Clara's dead set on sticking with Iruma, but Amory's playing defense on that one. So, Clara's eyeing Amory's dress with envy, but Amory spills the beans. It's all thanks to Elizabetta's fashion advice. With that settled, they're off to deck out Amory. Meanwhile, Caligo's team is lost in indecision on how to have fun. Caligo's about to lose it with all their whispering until they all rush him with noise. He's forced to call for some peace and quiet. Iruma's crew, on the other hand, can't even decide where to start. Iruma's bouncing around like a kid in a candy store, thinking he's stumbled upon the party of the year. Turns out, it's just Renov putting on his own little show. Iruma's like, hey, how's the park treating you? And Renov's all like, oh, you know, just enjoying the perks of being the boss's kid. But his fun gets cut short when Utoto, the designated Renov watcher, steps in. Dude can't keep from wreaking havoc on the park. Meanwhile, Iruma's team's still stuck in decision paralysis when Renov suggests they check out the park's basement, a secret prison, no less, hidden beneath the merry rides. Balam's not having it as the responsible chaperone, and Az is quick to second that notion. Iruma wisely agrees. Down in the depths, the prisoners are seething with envy at the joy above ground. Kiriwo, the unlucky soul who tried to mess with Babbles, is now stuck doing hard labor. But there's a glimmer of hope, a secret plan to break free, with some outside help from the Musashino crew. And guess who's the mastermind? Yep, Kiriwo. While the misfits are living it up, the prisoners are plotting to wreck the park. Amidst all the chaos, Amory's on the line with Elizabetta, desperately seeking fashion advice for her not-a-date date. Elizabetta's got stories for days about the latest trends, keeping the adventure rolling along. So, the misfits divide into 3 teams for a fun showdown. The girls hit up the outfit store and pick out a stunning dress for Amory. But Clara's got her own fashion statement going on, a dress that's basically a tent. Thankfully, a master tailor steps in to preach the gospel of body shapes and sizes. Meanwhile, Caligo's living the good life, surrounded by treats like a king on his throne. 2 demon boys come begging for cash, but Caligo's all, nah, you're on your own. Instead, they challenge them to a smackdown game where the winner takes all. Just when Jazz is about to nail the target, a skeleton crashes the party. After some epic struggle, they manage to have a blast and snap some pics. But then they decide to venture where no team has gone before, Kararagi Street. Caligo's quick to shut that down though, cause that street's all about shady magical dealings. Meanwhile, Iruma's living it up on the rides until Renov starts playing tag. One wrong turn later, Iruma's lost in Kararagi Street, with no signal and no crew in sight. Renov clues in the gang, and they realize Iruma's gone off the grid. Cut to Iruma getting ambushed by a robot demon, only to be rescued by a mystery girl who whisks him away to the real amusement park. She drops some wisdom about not looking back and treats him to ice cream before hitting the rides together, even snapping a pic for the gram. Back with the gang, they're worried sick about Iruma's whereabouts. Turns out, a girl saved him, but she's vanished into thin air. Shida-kun, one of the Walter staff, is on the case. Meanwhile, Iruma calls Amory to break the news about his little detour. But before he can reunite with the gang, he overhears some kids talking about the notorious Six Fingers, an organization hell-bent on bringing back the demon's terrifying reputation. Aggers whines about being tired, blaming his mask, so he ditches it. So, Aggers shocks everyone with his big, sparkly honey eyes, talk about a makeover waiting to happen. Renov takes it upon himself to give Aggers a glow-up and drags him off to a makeover session. Meanwhile, Watoto's itching to report back to headquarters, leaving the misfits in Balam's capable hands. After briefing the boss, Shida pulls Watoto aside and gives the signal, everyone's ready to roll. Watoto spills the beans, they're gearing up for an attack, Six Fingers style. The crew includes Mermero, Atori, Mickey, Huterin, Shida, and of course, Watoto himself. Their mission? Cause chaos to bust their buddy Kurori out of prison. And they're not holding back, this plan involves blowing up the park and wreaking havoc. On the lighter side, Iruma's chatting it up with Shida, who's planning to adopt a demon chick named Captain Poncho for some reason. Iruma's not sure if that name screams tough, but hey, to each their own. So, the Six Fingers are ready to unleash chaos in the amusement park, but just as they're gearing up, Aggers, snoozing on a cloud, takes a tumble. Turns out, he's got this neat trick where he can mess with the ground. He senses something's up, it's warmer than usual. He spills the beans about these 3 eggs that keep the park safe with their mana. As they're mulling over their next move, boom. A colossal crimson dragon crashes the party. The Walter Park crew scrambles to evacuate everyone. In the control room, they spot 3 demon monsters wreaking havoc in different spots. Caligo's like, alright team, let's channel our mana and take down that big bad beast. But his crew's like, sorry boss, we missed the how to attack memo. Kamui steps in to translate the beast's growls, but before they can react, a giant rock comes hurtling their way. Garp whips out his wind blade and slices that rock like a hot knife through butter. They regroup and hatch a plan to blindside the beast by stealing one of its eyes. They launch their attack, but the beast ain't going down without a fight. It charges right at them, ready to squish them like bugs. The misfits make a mad dash to Caligo for guidance, but he's too busy buried in his plans. His advice: use everything they've learned in class. Back in the control room, the Walter Park safety crew's at a loss against the beasts. Meanwhile, down in the prison, Kiriro's gone and freed all the demons, hell-bent on bringing even more chaos to the park. A guard sends word that the prisoners from level 2 are on the loose, making a beeline for the park. But one of them stops and warns about facing off against Triton, the big boss security guard. And wouldn't you know it, Triton's getting schooled by some little punk. Chaos truly reigns supreme. Down on the ground, Jazz's pals are pushing him to take on the beasts, but he's dodging their attacks like a pro. They're counting on him, especially since he's got that fancy Gimel rank. Jazz reminisces about his brothers, who were supposed to be role models but turned out to be total train wrecks. Booze and babes were their jam. Now it's up to Jazz to step up and save the day. Caligo saunters over and calls Jazz out, asking if that thing around his neck is just for show. Meanwhile, Iruma's watching in horror as the park gets wrecked in record time. He catches wind of a possible plot behind the chaos. Balam's theory: these beasts were summoned for sure. A demon kid's crying for help, and while everyone else hesitates, Iruma dashes in to save the day until the Walter safety guard slaps him with a hold up, kiddo. Iruma snags Az's phone to check out their group pic and realizes he's been stewing in anger for nothing. In a lighter moment, Az snaps some shots of Iruma rocking his monster cosplay and shares them with the gang, praising his killer look. Aiko's so impressed she makes it her new phone background. The power of a good photo opus. Breaking news from the netherworld: 3 nasty beasts, a fiery dragon, a sneaky rat, and a bullish mountain brute have crashed the party. Iruma swoops in to save a kid, realizing all the ice cream and rides were a blast and worth protecting. Az and the gang rally behind him. Meanwhile, Opera is on a mission to shield those close to Iruma. She orders the girls to scram and takes on the beast herself. Surprisingly, she's holding her own. Amory pops back, having sent everyone else to safety with Valak. Now they're teaming up against the monster, only to find Valak hitching a ride on a demon's tail. Over in another corner, Camui's enlisted a flock of demon crows to join the fray. Lead tries to swipe the beast's sensors, but it's a pain in the butt, literally. They're all following Jazz's master plan, but even Garp's struggling to put up a fight. Jazz, though, has a trick up his sleeve, literally. He's clinging to the beast's ear, ready to unleash his secret weapon, a whistle that cranks up the volume, courtesy of his bro. Lead jumps in to restore the beast's hearing, and Jazz blows that whistle like it's nobody's business. The beast goes down like a sack of potatoes. Caligo swoops in, handing out gold stars for effort before showing them how it's done, netherworld style. With the beast defeated, they snap some victory pics. Meanwhile, Kiramu's spotted some scared kiddos holed up in a shelter. She taps Elizabetta to babysit while she transforms into Dem Doll. And over with Amory, she's got a plan: distract the beast while Opera scoops up Clara. Teamwork makes the dream work, folks. Opera has a light bulb moment, realizing the beast's soft spot might be its noggin. Amory jumps into action, distracting the beast while Opera swoops in to scoop up Clara. Opera's in awe of Amory's strength and high rank, but Amory's not done yet. She unleashes her ultimate move, morphing her hair color and channeling her inner powerhouse. With a fierce battle cry, she's like, "I am the strongest, the mightiest." The beast lunges, but Amory's too powerful, sending it flying with a single blow. Thanks to her Romantista bloodline, she's practically unstoppable. When the beast tries a toxic gas attack, Amory's immune, thanks to her epic skills. She keeps laying the smackdown on the beast, fueled by Kiramu's inspiring tunes ringing in her ears. After 1,000 kicks to the noggin, Amory emerges victorious, but the toll of her power leaves her shaking like a leaf. Opera's in awe and offers her a spot at the Cherdaman home. But Amory's got other plans, like maybe moving in with Iruma. Yep, she's already planning the wedding bells. When Opera touches her, she starts trembling too. Clara, ever the stealthy one, reveals she's got a stash of weapons up her sleeve. Meanwhile, Iruma's playing hero, rescuing demon kids trapped under rocks. In a lighter moment, Jazz recalls the hefty fine his brother slapped him with for that whistle. Az and Sabnok team up to take down the demon, soaring towards the beast with battle cries ready. Meanwhile, Iruma and Balam are busy freeing trapped kids, wondering if Az and Sabnok have made their move. Little do they know, Az and Sabnok are knee-deep in a full-blown argument while trying to fight the beast. Balam's feeling like a lousy instructor, thinking his orders fell on deaf ears. But when Az senses Iruma's frustration, he channels the anger into a devastating blow, shutting the beast down. Sabnok, not one to be outdone, chomps down on Az's metal pendant before joining the fray. Az summons his familiar, unleashing fire, while Sabnok counters with a watery assault. Balam's jaw drops as he watches the first years overpower the beast. Just when things are looking up, the beast unleashes a massive mana blast, hitting Az and Sabnok square on. Iruma rushes to Az's aid, only to get knocked back by the beast's attack. Feeling helpless, Iruma reflects on his past struggles, but seeing his friends in danger breaks his heart. Balam points Iruma's attention skyward, where Sabnok's conjured a shield to protect Az. Az is puzzled by Sabnok's sudden act of heroism, but Sabnok reveals he's got big dreams of becoming a legendary demon king. The beast shrugs off their fire assault, sending Az and Sabnok scrambling for cover behind a wall. The tension between them boils over into a heated argument. Sabnok questions Az's commitment to the fight, sensing Az's priorities shifting towards Iruma. He lays it out plain and simple. Az is so wrapped up in Iruma, he's forgotten his own ambitions. Sabnok's grown from his past, but Az, not so much. Az begrudgingly admits Sabnok might have a point, summoning a fiery barrier to hold off the beast and conceding, just this once. As Az and Sabnok hightail it out of there, drained of mana, the beast readies itself for another blast. But just in the nick of time, Balam swoops in like a hero, slamming the beast and saving the day. Iruma rushes to hug Az, relieved beyond words. Sabnok scoops them both up and makes a run for it, with Balam revealing his true power by conjuring a dragon to duke it out with the beast. After a fierce battle, Balam lands the final blow, leaving Az in awe of his magical prowess. Az is so impressed, he begs Balam for some pointers. Suddenly, the spirits of the defeated beasts merge into a superpowered entity, blasting them all with blinding light. Thankfully, Opera and Amory swoop in to save the day. Opera rallies Balam to take on the new beast together, knowing they'll need backup. They summon Caligo for reinforcements, while the students fill him in on the beast's transformation. Reluctant at first, Caligo eventually joins the fray, teaming up with Opera and Sabnok to take down the beast once and for all. Meanwhile, down in the prison, the inmates are bummed to see their plan foiled. But Kurori's not giving up hope, predicting another showdown above ground. Suddenly, the beast revives itself, ready to detonate. Caligo calls on Aggers to dig a hole, urging everyone to take cover underground. As they huddle in the makeshift shelter, they realize the beast's heading straight for them. The misfits try to redirect its path, but Caligo intervenes, warning them of the explosive consequences. Just when things look dire, Renov swoops in, diverting the beast's attention, albeit at his own peril. But before the beast can strike, Iruma dashes in, shielding Renault from harm. In a lighter moment, they concoct an exciting game involving hiding hundreds of demon chicks, because why not keep things interesting even in the midst of chaos? In a daring move, Iruma leaps in front of Renov, summoning Ali-san to the rescue. He commands Ali-san to devour all the mana the beast's about to unleash. But Ali-san's not just a hungry spirit, he's got his own flair and insists on lending a hand. With Iruma's imagination fueling him, Ali-san transforms into his ultimate form, swallowing the beast whole. Inside Iruma's belly, the beast goes boom, leaving behind a tiny lifeless critter. The spirits of the defeated beast bid adieu in a spectacular display of circles, restoring the sky to its former glory. As the students emerge from the shelter, Elizabetta laments missing the Dem doll dance. Caligo, ever the stern teacher, scolds Iruma for his recklessness, but Iruma argues he can't help but rush to the aid of his loved ones. Meanwhile, in the prison, the Six Fingers make a dramatic entrance, busting Kariwo out on orders from Thunder Lord Ball. Kariwo's freedom is bittersweet for the other prisoners, who realize he's not planning to set them loose. Kariwo relishes in their despair, relishing his newfound freedom. Back on the ground, the crowd cheers for Iruma, with Renov's dad even dropping by to express his gratitude. But Utoto puts a damper on Kariwo's plans to join the festivities. As the parade in Iruma's honor kicks off, Kariwo's about to crash the party, but Nirisan intervenes, revealing Ball's message. Ball urges Kariwo to retreat, assuring him their plan never involved destroying the park. Kariwo begrudgingly steps back, vowing to return someday, still seeing Iruma as his sworn enemy. Opera hands Iruma his bag, and inside, he finds a letter from Sullivan packed with instructions, the last one reminding him to have a blast. When Sullivan arrives at the hostel where Iruma is staying, he's a sobbing mess, overwhelmed by what Iruma endured. But Iruma reassures him he was well taken care of. Meanwhile, Caligo confides in Balam about some shady staff members being behind the chaos. No one remembers their names, but they've got a good mental sketch. Caligo returns to his room to find some misfits wreaking havoc. Unable to handle the chaos, he kicks them all out. Meanwhile, in the girls' room, they're over the moon with their new clothes. Amory's relieved to see everyone safe. They all head to the buffet to indulge. After devouring his meal, Iruma slips away to the terrace. Amory joins him, and they chat about her dress, a gift from Renov's dad. Iruma opens up about his dream of having fun with everyone and protecting that ideal. Amory playfully accuses him of being greedy, then suggests they sneak off together. But their alone time is cut short by Az and Clara, who burst in with news of a big cake and magic lessons with Balam. Iruma insists on sticking to their plans, much to Amory's dismay. Meanwhile, Renov's dad tries to hog the spotlight, but Sullivan sets the record straight, declaring Iruma the true hero. Suddenly, the demon press swarm Iruma for interviews and photos, sending him scrambling to escape. Opera suggests hiding him somewhere, and Clara volunteers her place. In a lighter moment, Balam awaits Caligo's arrival, only to find him looking exhausted. But Caligo's not about to let hunger ruin his mood. He's got food on the way. So, picture this, Iruma's off on his grand adventure, right? But lo and behold, Clara drops him an invite to her humble abode, making it his first ever friend house rendezvous. And let me tell you, folks, as his mind is blown to smithereens when he discovers that Clara actually lives in a real, live house. Can you believe it? But hold your useless horses, because Valak's siblings are about to hit him with a welcome party that's more special than a unicorn on roller skates. And while they're at it, they can't help but wonder who's the lucky guy swooning over Clara. But before they can even form the words, Clara swoops in like a ninja, shutting down the speculation train with a single glare. But wait, there's more. Iruma's eyes widen as he takes in the chaotic yet oh so fun atmosphere of the Valak household. Turns out, Papa Valak is quite the adventurer, always sending back souvenirs from his wild escapades. Result, Clara's crib is overflowing with knickknacks, doodads, and thingamajigs galore. Now, let's talk dinner. The Valaks, they've got their own quirky way of naming dishes. Forget chicken nuggets or fried chicken, because in Valak land, it's all about the muffle duffle crackle bang. Az tries to warn Iruma, but hey, where's the fun in sticking to the script, am I right? Just when they thought they'd seen it all, in waltz two more of Iruma's siblings, demanding a bedtime story. But hold on to your hats, folks, because Mama Valak pulls out the big guns, the memory book, complete with Clara's baby pics. But oh, looks like trouble's a-brewin' as Clara catches wind of the impromptu photo sesh. She tries to play it cool, but when Iruma drops the C word, that's cute, folks, she goes full-on blush mode. Quick, someone pass the ice. And just when they think they're in the clear, Mama Valak pulls out another album, proving once again that moms are the undisputed champions of embarrassing their kids. But fear not, for Clara swoops in with a strategic shopping time diversion, saving the day like the superhero she is. But hold on to your chopsticks, because it's cook-off time. Az and Clara are locked in a battle royale to whip up the ultimate feast for Iruma. Let the culinary chaos commence. Meanwhile, at Amida Hill, the Valaks embark on a shopping spree for the perfect ingredients. But leave it to Az to grab the wrong stuff, leading to a taste test that's more meh than MMM. Looks like our boy Az might need a crash course in grocery shopping 101. So, just when they thought things couldn't get any wilder, Mama Valak swoops in with a legendary ingredient quest straight out of a fairy tale. Picture this, the Hubbub Forest, home to the ultimate ingredient, shabu shabu from Collateral Cave. Mama Valak lays down the law, promising flavors so divine they'll make your taste buds do the cha-cha. Armed with a map and a whole lot of determination, our fearless squad, Az, Clara, and the gang, embark on a mission to snag this culinary holy grail for Iruma's epic feast. But not so fast. Clara's siblings are playing gatekeepers, insisting that guests take a back seat. And Az, what have your useless idiotic self done lately besides accidentally setting off fireworks in the neighbor's yard? As they venture deeper into the cave, they stumble upon the elusive shabu shabu fish, a bizarre creature with the body of a pig, the fins of a fish, and enough veggies to make a salad jealous. But oh, plot twist. The fish snags Clara's siblings, sending our heroes into full-on rescue mode. Clara summons her trusty familiar, but Az decides to go full Gandalf and busts out the fireballs. Spoiler alert, the fish ain't impressed. But fear not, for Clara's quick thinking and Az's ninja skills lead to a daring escape, complete with tentacle snipping and sibling saving. Talk about teamwork. But just when they think they're home free, Az has a revelation. He's still vertically challenged. But hey, who needs height when you've got a familiar on speed dial? With a wave of his wand, they're soaring out of there faster than you can say abracadabra. Enter Mama Valak, the ultimate fish-slaying mama bear, who sends that oversized sushi roll packing with a single smash. Lesson learned, always aim for the nose when facing off against aquatic adversaries. Back at Casa de Clara, the gang kicks back for some well-deserved R&R, complete with playful antics and impromptu lullabies. As Clara serenades them into dreamland, Iruma's troubles melt away faster than ice cream on a hot summer day. Come morning, they're back at it, digging up breakfast like a band of culinary treasure hunters. Mama Valak captures the moment for posterity, stamping it in the memories album for future laughs. But little do they know, trouble's brewing on the horizon as a mysterious figure approaches. But hey, who's got time for drama when there's breakfast to be had? In a moment of downtime, Iruma can't help but ask Clara about her elder brother, expecting tales of madness and mayhem. Little does he know, the truth might just be crazier than fiction. As our merry band sits down for a meal at Clara's, the tranquility is shattered by the sound of the doorbell. Clara, being the brave soul she is, answers it to find none other than the demon border control officer standing tall. After a round of introductions, he whisks Iruma away, brandishing a restraining order against those pesky press folks. Iruma's eyes light up with the prospect of freedom, like a kid on the last day of school. Meanwhile, Amory's in full-on first date prep mode, trying to reach Iruma but failing miserably due to an acute case of shyness-induced trembling. Luckily, Iruma swoops in with a text, and plans are set in motion faster than you can say awkward encounter avoided. Cut to Amory, decked out in her finest swimwear at Lady Levy's aqua case, eagerly awaiting her Prince Charming. Iruma, on the other hand, embarks on a quest for the perfect swimsuit, unaware of the whirlwind of romance about to sweep him off his feet. As they embark on their aquatic adventure, Amory is determined to make this date one for the history books. But despite her best efforts, things aren't going exactly according to plan, leaving Amory feeling more flustered than a pufferfish in a blender. But fear not, for amidst the chaos, there's a moment of sweetness as Iruma gallantly rescues Amory from a sticky situation, earning himself a swoon-worthy smile in the process. And just like that, romance blooms amid the salt water and sunscreen. As they peruse the souvenir corner, Iruma's excitement knows no bounds as he picks out trinkets for his classmates. Amory, torn between rivalry and romance, can't help but admire his thoughtfulness, even if it means aiding the enemy. But as the day winds down, Amory's left pondering the age-old question: how does one balance duty and desire? While Iruma's off in gift-giving mode, she's left yearning for more romantic moments amidst the chaos of her responsibilities. And just when they think the day couldn't get any more magical, Iruma suggests a trip to the Mako-chan Bow fortune-telling show, where demons and delights await. The plot thickens with the grand entrance of Mako-chan, the legendary matchmaker of the demon world. But hold on to your hats, folks, because this ain't your typical love connection. As Mako-chan picks Iruma out of the crowd like a prize catch, our hero's heart sinks faster than a lead balloon. Turns out, his human sense got him in hot water, and not the good kind. But fear not, for our fearless Amory swoops in like a guardian angel, saving Iruma from the jaws of embarrassment. Talk about a damsel in distress turned knight in shining armor. After the dust settles, the show managers are left eating humble pie as they hand out annual passes and apologies like candy on Halloween. With Mako-chan in the rearview mirror, Iruma's off to mend fences and salvage what's left of their less than stellar date. As they bid adieu to the disaster that was Mako-chan's matchmaking misadventure, Iruma shifts his focus to Amory, determined to turn their day around. Amory, still reeling from the calamity, braces herself for the worst. But leave it to our boy Iruma to turn lemons into lemonade with a simple question about her well-being. With a mixture of surprise and gratitude, Amory finds herself swept off her feet, quite literally, as Iruma offers to carry her to their next destination. Talk about chivalry in the face of chaos. And just like that, our dynamic duo sets off on a new adventure, with Amory's heart aflutter and Iruma's determination unwavering. As they make their way to the elusive third-floor bench, hidden away like a treasure waiting to be discovered, Amory can't help but marvel at the unexpected turn of events. In a heartwarming twist, Amory's father reminisces about the days when his little girl was too afraid to venture out alone. But now, as she returns with a bounty of souvenirs in tow, he can't help but marvel at how far she's come. And so, as the sun sets on their tumultuous day, Iruma and Amory find themselves closer than ever, bound by laughter, love, and a shared sense of adventure. Who knows what the future holds for these two star-crossed demons? One thing's for sure, with love in the air and souvenirs in hand, anything is possible. The joys of homework, am I right? As Iruma sweats over his end-of-term assignments, Opera, the ever-enthusiastic cheerleader, roots for him like it's the final match of the Demon Olympics. But why, you ask, does poor Iruma have to suffer through double homework duty? Well, it all goes back to that epic showdown in Walter Park, where the gang's quest for fun landed them in hot water, double homework hot water, to be precise. But fear not, for Sullivan, the benevolent leader of the pack, swoops in with a decree: all teams are winners, and Caligo's picking up the tab. Balaam, ever the voice of reason, questions Caligo's sudden generosity, but the man himself insists he's happy to foot the bill. After all, they're dead last now, and nothing says learning opportunity like double the homework, am I right? With homework woes behind him, Iruma's whisked away on a shopping extravaganza by none other than Sullivan himself. As they hop into the carriage and set off, Sullivan tells his worthless self that Iruma's now a certified celebrity, which means it's time to bust out the disguise gear. Enter the detection warding glasses, because nothing says inconspicuous like oversized shades. Welcome to Babels, the bustling hub of demon activity, where magical streets and mischievous demons abound. But thanks to Sullivan's savvy disguise, Iruma's incognito as they navigate the chaos of the magical street. Next stop, the bookstore, where Sullivan loads up on enough reading material to make even the most dedicated scholar sweat. Iruma, perplexed by the mountain of books, learns a valuable lesson in demon academia from his wise mentor. And with a gentle reminder to keep practicing his fractals, Iruma's ready to tackle whatever challenges lie ahead. But wait, what's this? A sticky-fingered demon kid tries to pull a fast one on Sullivan. But our quick-thinking hero turns the tables with a swift move that earns him a discount and a nod of respect from the store manager. Turns out, Sullivan's not just any demon, he's the real deal, with a rank that rivals even the Demon King himself. And just when they thought the day couldn't get any crazier, Iruma's gifted a Mogurin, a mischievous creature that's sure to keep things interesting. But hey, what's a little chaos among friends? As the sun sets on their shopping spree, Sullivan immortalizes their adventures with a portrait of Iruma, capturing the essence of their bond in vibrant hues and devilish charm. As the day winds down and their shopping bags overflow with treasures, Opera, the unsung hero of logistics, scurries off to organize their loot while Sullivan and Iruma settle in for a heart-to-heart. With a sigh, Sullivan admits that despite growing accustomed to life in the netherworld, the looming specter of the next term has him feeling a tad nostalgic. Enter the age-old question, how does one become the Demon King? Sullivan's eyes twinkle with mischief as he regales Iruma with a tale from years gone by, a meeting of the Demon Crowns, a missing Demon King, and a chance encounter that changed everything. But just as Iruma's imagination takes flight, Sullivan snaps him back to reality with a gentle nudge, reminding him of the weighty responsibility that comes with the title. Yet, true to form, our boy Iruma remains steadfast in his humility, insisting that he has no desire for such lofty aspirations. As they make their way home, Iruma finds himself standing in the street, pondering the possibilities of his own netherworld. With a wistful sigh, he removes his glasses and dares to dream of a realm where kindness reigns supreme. But as night falls and the stars twinkle overhead, Iruma's thoughts turn to the prophecy scroll, revealing the daunting tasks that await the chosen Demon King. Yet amidst the uncertainty, there's a glimmer of determination in his eyes, a resolve to forge his own path, no matter the challenges that lie ahead. Back at Sullivan's home, plans are afoot for a leisurely term ahead, filled with lazy afternoons and endless adventures. But as the dawn breaks and a new day dawns, Iruma, Clara, and Ez march off to school, their backpacks laden with homework and hearts brimming with anticipation. In the hallowed halls of Babel's Academy, a new decree rings out: all misfits must achieve the coveted Dalit rank before graduation, lest they face expulsion from the Royal One classroom. And so, with the promise of new beginnings on the horizon, our heroes stand poised to embark on their next great adventure. Now Iruma, the sole human residing in the netherworld, found himself returning to the demon school Babel's after the summer break. He was notably burdened with an enormous bag and accompanied by his friends Clara and Asmodeus. Despite Iruma's continuous efforts to maintain a low profile to conceal his human identity, he inevitably found himself the center of attention. The heroic deeds he and his misfit class companions had recently performed in subduing a magical beast at Walter Park had propelled them into the limelight, much to Iruma's discomfort. As they navigated through the school corridors, they were overwhelmed by adoring classmates who chanted their names in admiration. Asmodeus and Clara found themselves needing to tactically sneak away to their classroom to escape the overwhelming fanfare. Meanwhile, Amory, watching from a distance, simmered with jealousy as the school's adulation for Iruma grew. To add to the spectacle, the misfit class had been upgraded to a royal classroom, a status that did not sit well with everyone. Their teacher, Kaligo-sensei, was particularly unimpressed with the newfound celebrity attitudes brewing among his students. He was quick to remind them of the upcoming academic and extracurricular challenges, such as the Harvest Festival, the Music Festival, and particularly the daunting rank advancement exam. He punctuated his reminders by setting a new rank target for them, Dalit, which was perilously close to graduation level. Equipped with ear protectors and a microphone, Kaligo-sensei blasted his orders, jolting the students with the stark reality that failure in these endeavors would result in a humiliating downgrade back to their old, dilapidated classroom. The school had assigned special tutors to aid in their preparation, but the effectiveness of these tutors was questionable. Sergeant Furfur enthusiastically dragged his students away for some rather dubious adult mentoring sessions. Lady Vepar, another tutor, could not stop her tears long enough to provide coherent guidance, while Mr. Hat seemed far more invested in Caroli's career as a Demdal singer than in any actual tutoring responsibilities. Sabnock and Asmodeus found themselves completely exhausted after just the first day of training. Iruma's tutor, Bars Robin, appeared utterly clueless about his training plan, contributing further to the chaos. As Iruma grappled with his new status as a school celebrity, Amory longed for more personal time with him, but found him far too preoccupied. When Robin's incompetence finally reached a breaking point, his sister intervened, knocking him flat and announcing her participation only at Sullivan's behest. Despite her initial reluctance, Iruma pleaded with her to continue as his mentor, promising to treat her with the utmost respect she demanded, even if it meant engaging in cross-dressing and school mischief. Throughout all this, Iruma's uncanny knack for attracting chaos seemed only matched by his ability to find himself at the very center of attention, no matter how hard he tried to avoid it. It was as though he was vying for a medal for being the most reluctantly famous human in the history of demonkind. Lead is in tears because Barbados is working him to the bone while he's dressed in a frilly, fluffy outfit. Iruma tries to console him but gets hit with a backhanded compliment about how accustomed he seems to tough situations. As they talk, Barbados interrupts and orders them to get to work, saying she wants some homemade sweets from her precious little minions. She summons a fruity ground dragon, which has incredibly sweet strawberries on its head. After a tough battle, Iruma and Lead collect the strawberries, but when they bring them to Barbados, she suddenly says she's not in the mood for sweets anymore and sends them home. Back at home, Sullivan asks Iruma if he had fun at school, reminding him of the tough day with Barbados. The next day, Barbados demands that Iruma and Lead wash her clothes. Lead has had enough and yells about her increasing demands, while Iruma calmly continues the task. Lead decides to switch tutors and asks Iruma to join him. But Iruma decides to stick with Barbados a bit longer, believing she has a plan. As Lead leaves, Barbados praises Iruma for enduring her tough demands, yet still calls him the biggest moron she's ever met. That evening, Iruma is haunted by thoughts of Barbados and calls Asmodeus for support. The next day, determined not to be just an errand boy, Iruma decides to master whatever Barbados throws at him. The last class of the day with Caligo-sensei leaves everyone exhausted, which delights the teacher. The Misfit class shares stories of their brutal training. Vapor has been drowning his students to boost their abilities, and Sabnok and Asmodeus are struggling to land even a single hit on Balaam. The class is shocked to learn about Iruma's training, dismissing it as mere servitude. Then, they all receive urgent texts from their tutors calling them back to training. As Barbados waits for Iruma, Sullivan appears, surprising her and turning her face red. He hopes she'll continue aiding Iruma's training. Iruma then gets a text about creating a new weapon, and Barbados informs him that their next session will involve making a weapon. At the training site, Iruma is stunned to realize he's been used as an errand boy all along. Barbados then demonstrates her formidable power, the Winged Devourer of Despair, and obliterates a mountain with a single strike. She's a renowned undead archer known as Barbados with unmatched accuracy. If Iruma can learn her technique, he could advance far beyond the Dalit rank, although it seems nearly impossible. Impressed by Barbados' skills, Iruma follows her to the magical apparatus Battler's lab, stirring up old memories. Barbados and Iruma stood outside the magical apparatus lab, a place renowned for its outlandish inventions and bizarre gadgets. Barbados, ever the enthusiastic friend, nudged Iruma towards the lab, proposing they commission a personalized creation just for him. However, when she discovered that Iruma was already a member of the magical apparatus Battler team, her reaction was priceless. Barbados' jaw dropped, and then she burst into a mixture of yelling and playful smacks, berating Iruma for keeping such a fun secret from her and making her feel out of the loop. As they stepped into the Battler lab, they were greeted by Eligoth Chanel, a figure both mysterious and pivotal in the world of magical combat. Eligoth revealed his return to the lab after a dramatic conclusion at the event known as Terminus, and his plans to propel the lab's projects forward. Barbados' eyes widened as she watched Eligoth hustle around the lab, collecting an assortment of strange items with the enthusiasm of a squirrel preparing for winter. In the corner of the lab, Barbados spotted some essential components for her project, a piece of wood that she masterfully transformed into a stunning bow, leveraging her unique bloodline ability. Meanwhile, Iruma was asked to select materials that would reflect his personality and harmonize with his magical core. Choosing a feather from the mystical guardian of Cutthroat Valley, Iruma used his ring to shift into Irift mode and craft his version of the bow. However, his celebration was short-lived as Barbados, unimpressed by his imitation of her design, broke the bow with a swift kick. "Try again, Iruma. This time, don't just copy my homework," she joked, pushing him to find his unique style. After several more attempts, Barbados, somewhat frustrated yet hopeful, gave Iruma one final chance to craft a bow suitable for battle. She then left the lab to go shopping, pondering whether Iruma would give up or surprise her. Meanwhile, another mentor, Vepar, was on the verge of resigning, disappointed by the lack of progress in her students. Just as she lost hope, her students broke through a formidable water barrier, finding their way to freedom and proving their growth. Vepar, overwhelmed with joy and relief, shed tears at their unexpected breakthrough. Elsewhere, Mr. Hat was lecturing Caroli on the importance of respecting magical beasts, emphasizing that a true summoner sees beyond the surface. "If you can't stand the smell, Caroli, maybe the summoning business isn't for you," he quipped, half serious. Caroli and Kamui, taking this advice to heart, finally managed to impress Mr. Hat with their newfound ability to connect with their summoned creatures. As Barbados shopped, Golith joined her and they chatted about their day. Barbados couldn't help but wonder if Iruma had thrown in the towel. However, back at the lab, Iruma struggled with his creative block until Ollie appeared, offering a mix of teasing and guidance to help clear his mental fog. Think less, imagine more, Ollie suggested, a slight grin on his face. As Golith and Barbados returned, they were met with a dazzling blue light emanating from the lab, a sign of Iruma's breakthrough. The members of the Misfit class, having been recognized for their unique talents, were now set to face intensified training. As their mentors prepared them for what they humorously dubbed educational hell, it was clear that these students were about to experience a whole new level of magical challenges. The final practical training event for the first year, the Harvest Festival, is underway in the Netherworld, a place where the survival of the fittest reigns supreme and acquiring food is a top priority. This festival stirs up the hunting instincts in demons, with the communication battler broadcasting the event live, capturing every moment of the action. Set in the jungle behind Babel's school, students are on their own, with their ranking determined by how many points they collect from their gathered items. Amory, last year's champion, watches intently, eager to see if anyone can beat her record. As the students gear up in various armors and prepare at the jungle's 4 entrances, Warb pops up, commenting to some seniors on how formidable this year's first-year demons are. Among them, the notorious rule breakers, the Dorodoro brothers, Ikiro and Nero, gear up for the event, while Orobas, another festival favorite, casually reads a book. Warb's mention of Asmodeus draws glares from Orobas and Ikiro, highlighting their disdain for the star-studded Misfit class, who have gained fame after acquiring Demon King Durkilla's old classroom and their heroic acts at Walter Park. As the Misfit class makes their dramatic entrance, looking rugged and emitting a dangerous aura, they immediately start bickering about who had the toughest training. Clearly, the competitive spirit is alive and well. Iruma arrives fashionably late, to everyone's shock, and shares a fist bump with Asmodeus, who is visibly moved by their reunion after intense training sessions. The festival's time limit is set to 6,666 minutes, lasting about 4 days. As students position themselves at their chosen entrance, Amory watches from her office, likely reminiscing about her own glory days. Just before diving into the jungle, the Misfit class huddles for a final pep talk. Once the festival kicks off, the action heats up quickly with a student scoring 10 points by snagging a light-speed mushroom. Amidst the chaos, a huge whiskered candy-toothed tiger worth 150 points emerges, sending students scattering, until Asmodeus steps in and knocks it out with a single punch, leaving everyone in awe. Talk about a knockout price on that tiger, Asmodeus jokes, continuing his rampage through the jungle and claiming nearly every ingredient in sight. Walking alone, Asmodeus encounters a huge aqua bear, only to find Sabnok has already snagged it. The two discuss strategies, aiming for a minimum score of 50,000 points to secure a win, a nod to Amory's previous record of 59,000 points. They decide to target the boss class ingredients, each worth over 3,000 points, requiring teamwork to conquer. Asmodeus also shares a rumor about the legendary leaf, an ingredient so rare it's worth 100,000 points, though it remains just a myth to most. Just then, the Dorodoro brothers sneak up behind them, ready to challenge for the top spot. Looks like we're not just hunting ingredients today, but also fending off some serious competition, Sabnok quips, readying for what promises to be a wild ride at the Harvest Festival. The mischievous Dorodoro brothers proposed a high-stakes race to Sabnok and Asmodeus. The challenge was to dash to a nearby cave and defeat a boss-class magical beast residing within. If Sabnok and Asmodeus triumphed, they would receive all of the Dorodoro brothers' points. However, the brothers weren't after the points themselves. Their true motive was to find a certain individual who turned out to be teaching young demon babies at Babel's. If they won, they planned to reclaim their old master from the school. Amidst this chaos, the hosts and Balam observed the heated exchange with great interest. Meanwhile, a flurry of activity erupted in Block 2. Kamui and Carolee had succeeded in taming the magical beasts, to the astonishment of their peers. The creatures even went so far as to offer food to Kamui and Carolee as a sign of allegiance. Kamui, blessed with the ability to communicate with any species, managed the negotiations while Carolee, not to be outdone, kept the onlookers at bay with threats from a blizzard wild and a snow king fox. Standing boldly without her usual cute dem doll attire, Carolee felt a rush of confidence. Her days of grueling training had pushed her to rely not just on her cuteness, but her raw capabilities and beauty. Over at the Diabotany Battler grounds, Schneider and Sola's Bobo were busy collecting plants and other crucial ingredients. After gathering their bounty, they headed to the reporting tower to register their haul and earn points. However, Sola's had a cunning plan to split extra points between himself and Schneider, to which Schneider nonchalantly agreed. They filled out the form and completed the reporting process. But as Sola's returned to his team, a teammate questioned why he had come from the west when the reporting tower was to the east. It dawned on Sola's that Schneider had tricked him using a magical flower that disoriented his sense of direction. Making matters worse, the official at the reporting station, none other than Jazz, revealed that the tower was a sham. Solas hurried to the original reporting tower to complain about the deception, but discovered there were no rules against stealing, only fighting was off limits. Schneider and Jazz reminisced about their old training days when Furfur had taken them to Valbala, a notorious playground for adult demons. Furfur introduced them to the bar staff, where Jazz demonstrated his unique talent for pilfering without detection. Unfortunately, their skills couldn't save them from being sold into hard labor by Furfur, who neglected to settle his tab. This harsh introduction to the adult world lasted 3 grueling weeks, during which Jazz and Schneider honed their ability to read others, a skill developed during endless games of guessing with Furfur. If they guessed correctly, they'd earn their freedom. But defeating Furfur, one of the 3 heroes of the Demon Valley War, was no simple task. After several failed attempts and learning from everyone around them, they finally outsmarted Furfur. Despite their victory, Furfur laughed it off, claiming it was all part of the game. As the focus shifted to Block 4, the camera captured other students plotting to pilfer points from Iruma, turning the competition into a cunning game of strategic maneuvering. In a calm and collected manner, Iruma sat, which led everyone around him to speculate that he had devised a clever plan to tackle those who were after his points. Even Balam, a former Harvest Festival winner, was under the impression that Iruma was setting a trap. However, all such speculations evaporated when they witnessed Iruma and Lead not strategizing, but rather cooking and heartily eating their collected ingredients. Rewinding a bit to the beginning of the Harvest Festival, when Iruma and Lead first stepped into the vast jungle, they were taken aback by its enormity. Lead had initially dismissed Iruma as a pampered rich kid, unaccustomed to the harsh realities of survival. However, his assumptions were quickly challenged when Iruma eagerly took charge, proving he was more than capable of handling the wild. Meanwhile, the festival hosts were interviewing Balam about his experiences. Balam's advice was straightforward yet profound. Don't overhunt, manage your time wisely since the time limit is a whopping 66 minutes, and most crucially, familiarize yourself with your surroundings. He noted that many demons exhaust themselves in the early days and don't last the full 4 days of the festival. According to Balam, the ability to adapt quickly is a significant advantage. Lying on a tree branch, Iruma shared a unique survival strategy with Lead. The only way to survive is to trick ourselves into believing we were born in this forest. Initially, Lead was taken aback by Iruma's audacious plan. It turns out, Iruma's resilience was honed by a childhood filled with overcoming the reckless schemes of his less than responsible parents. Embracing this mindset, Iruma and Lead began treating the jungle as their home, playing and preparing food with a joyous abandon. Their competitors, meanwhile, were baffled and demoralized at seeing them so relaxed in consuming what they had gathered, which only deepened their despair. Lead eventually recognized the strategic brilliance in Iruma's approach. "We need to chill while we can and hustle at night," he suggested, hinting that the presence of some girls would have made the experience even more enjoyable. He reminisced about a divvy mixer he had planned, where his attempt to impress 4 girls spectacularly backfired, leaving him with companionship he hadn't anticipated. "At least we had fun," Iruma chuckled, reminding Lead of the good times they had despite the plan going south. Just as they were reminiscing, Clara appeared from the bushes in her dragon costume, giving Iruma and Lead quite the shock. Elizabeth also emerged, and before they knew it, Elizabeth was charming Lead into surrendering their ingredients using her full-gauge love ability. Despite losing their supplies, Lead couldn't help but be captivated, until Elizabeth admitted her affection for everyone in her misfit class, leaving Lead both heartbroken and ingredient-less. As the comedic chaos continued, Clara, still in her dragon costume, managed to ensnare Iruma. Amidst the confusion and laughter, it was clear that no amount of planning could prepare them for the unpredictable nature of the Harvest Festival and their classmates' antics. After a long separation, Clara enthusiastically hugged Iruma, delighted to see him again. She excitedly shared that her training had taught her a great deal. In a playful moment, Clara bumped her head against Iruma's, magically transporting him into a fantastical realm she called Clara's Toy Box. This whimsical world, a product of Clara's Vala family bloodline ability called Toy Toy, combined with the art of illusion she had mastered under Raim's guidance, could bring anything she fancied into existence. The catch? Clara needed to physically pull someone into her clothes, effectively drawing them into her magical pocket dimension. Within this enchanted space, Clara explained to Iruma that she transformed anyone who entered into a child to enhance their enjoyment of the games there. She then showed Iruma various games that filled him with excitement. They began with toy guns, darting and leaping through rainbows and clouds, with Iruma winning the first round of their playful competition. Reflecting on her training, Clara recalled Raim's words describing her as unrestrained and surprising, qualities that could captivate any demon if used wisely. Despite knowing that it wasn't the time for games, Iruma found the joyful environment too enticing to resist. Clara then sang a song about her training with Rame, revealing that the toy box was designed to make its occupants have so much fun that they wouldn't want to stop, a clever ploy to make Iruma fall head over heels for her. However, this magical space also had a dark side. It drained the mana from its occupants. Clara didn't fully grasp this aspect, even during her training, when Rame nearly collapsed from the power of this terrifying technique. As they continued playing, Clara eventually grew tired, but Iruma was still energetic and unaffected. Touched by the fun they shared, Iruma told Clara how much he loved playing with her, which moved her to tears of joy. Suddenly, Elizabeth intervened, opening Clara's costume and bringing Iruma and herself back to reality. Nearby, Lead lay on the ground, barely able to speak. Clara weakly explained the charming team's strategy, which had earned them a substantial 54 points, leaving the feral team with nothing. As night fell, the festival hosts were overwhelmed with tasks. The first night was notoriously chaotic, leading to numerous injuries. Many students struggled to find safe places to sleep, often falling prey to monsters' traps. A significant number of students ended up forfeiting that night, and Kaligo-sensei was busy rescuing many of them. It was reported that each year, about 1/5 of the students would forfeit on the first night. Some suffered from hallucinations, adding to the chaos. Orias, the director with the bloodline ability of astrology, utilized his powers to save students with his luck-enhancing abilities. Meanwhile, Kaligo heard echoes and screams while flying above the jungle, adding to the night's eerie atmosphere. Desanko and her friends, seeking refuge from the monsters, stumbled into a castle only to awaken Paisro with their noisy entrance. Desanko and her friends were utterly enchanted by Paisro's striking appearance when they unexpectedly entered the castle. Goman, who had been out collecting points, was taken aback to see his teammates surrounded by 4 adoring girls. In his surprise, he initially mistook the scene for an attack. Amidst the ensuing confusion, Desanko, swept up in the moment, attempted to plant a kiss on Paisro but embarrassingly ended up kissing the wall instead. After the initial flurry of excitement, the girls settled down and explained that they had sought refuge in the castle after being attacked by magical beasts, apologizing to Paisro for their overly enthusiastic response to his charm. Paisro, somewhat flustered and clearly frustrated, admonished the girls for invading his personal space without warning. Despite his objections, Garp, ever the voice of reason, insisted that they could not simply send the girls back into the dangers of the monster-filled forest. As Garp disappeared to brew more tea, the girls learned about Paisro's unique bloodline ability, which allowed him to manipulate earth and trees, a skill he used to construct the very castle they were in. This talent of his had been refined under the strict training of Vepar, and the girls were notably impressed by his capabilities. Meanwhile, the dynamic between Paisro and Garp intrigued the girls. Despite Paisro often complaining about Garp being a meddlesome busybody who dragged him to school every day, it was evident that Garp cared deeply for him, having taken it upon himself to prevent Paisro from dropping out of school. As Garp returned with the freshly brewed tea, sudden screams from outside broke the calm, signaling more trouble. Paisro attempted to dissuade Garp from inviting further chaos into their makeshift sanctuary, but true to his character, Garp couldn't resist playing the hero. He dashed out to confront yet another magical monster, ultimately rescuing 4 more people. When he returned with these new guests, Paisro's jaw dropped. His castle was quickly becoming as crowded as Grand Central Station. Back at the Mentor's camp, the atmosphere was lively with a party in full swing. Sullivan, Opera, and Barbados made their entrance, crashing the gathering. As they settled in, the special tutors began to proudly share updates on their students' scores. Carolee's team was leading with an impressive tally of over 14,000 points, while Elizabeth and Clara were not far behind. Paisro and Garp, despite being somewhat sidetracked by their unplanned roles as hosts, had managed to accumulate a respectable 8,200 points. This prompted the mentors to begin a playful argument over whose training methods were superior. In an effort to boost morale, Sullivan raised a cheer for Iruma, but the mention of his name drew blank stares from the other instructors. After all, he was still at 0 points. This irony wasn't lost on Furfur, who burst out laughing at the notion of cheering for a student without any points. Not one to be overshadowed, Barbados quickly grabbed Furfur by the neck, demanding some liquor to calm her nerves while launching into a spirited recount of her adventures training Iruma. While the mentors engaged in their lively debates and revelries, the determined trio of the Dorodoro brothers, Sabnok, and Asmodeus were deep in the jungle, engaging in a fierce battle against a boss-class beast. Their actions underscored a stark contrast to their mentors' partying, demonstrating that while their teachers might be enjoying themselves, they were all business, fully committed to proving their prowess in the challenging environment of the Netherworld. Asmodeus and Sabnock, along with the Dorodoro brothers, found themselves facing off against a daunting boss-class monster, one that was notorious within the Netherworld for being worth a whopping 10,800 points. The challenge, however, was significant. The monster would only release its coveted fruit after being struck 100 times. As the battle intensified, the Dorodoro brothers saw an opportunity to propose a competition to Asmodeus and Sabnock, suggesting that if they emerged victorious, they could win back their master's favor. Initially, Asmodeus was reluctant, advising the brothers to speak directly to their master rather than setting terms through a contest. However, when Akiro and Nero began to mock them as spoiled cowards, Asmodeus and Sabnock's patience wore thin, and they accepted the challenge, determined not to let such taunts go unanswered. During the intense fight, Sabnock skillfully dodged a powerful blow from the monster, but Akiro used this moment to further taunt him. From the sidelines, Asmodeus watched, impressed by Akiro's spear skills and noting the brothers' excellent teamwork. In contrast, Asmodeus and Sabnock found themselves struggling with their own teamwork, frequently bickering and failing to coordinate their attacks effectively. Unknown to them, the Dorodoro brothers were exploiting their bloodline ability, which allowed them to stir up rage and discord among their targets. Nero, ever the strategist, had thoroughly researched both Asmodeus and Sabnock. Just as Sabnock was about to retaliate against the brothers' provocations, Asmodeus intervened, realizing that any physical attack on the brothers would lead to their disqualification from the challenge. Frustrated that their cunning plan had been exposed, the Dorodoro brothers reminisced about the times when they were highly praised by Furfur-sensei and personally named by Balaam-sensei. They had aspired to further impress their master until he abruptly left to pursue a teaching career, leaving them under the impression that Asmodeus and Sabnock had somehow stolen him away. Attempting to escalate the situation, the Dorodoro brothers tried to intensify the monster's wrath by shouting, but their insults extended to every student at Babel's, including Iruma. This provocation pushed Asmodeus beyond his limits, causing him to enter a fearsome beast form that neither the brothers nor anyone else had witnessed before. With a sinister smile, Asmodeus began to overwhelm the boss monster, demonstrating a powerful technique that Balaam-sensei had taught him. After successfully securing the prize fruit from the defeated monster, Asmodeus directed his fiery wrath toward the Dorodoro brothers, who were now terrified by the sheer destructive power he wielded. It was only with Sabnock's timely intervention, invoking Iruma's name, that Asmodeus was brought back to his senses. Once calmed, Sabnock and Asmodeus resumed their usual dynamic, bickering about the recklessness of Asmodeus's actions during the battle, even as they walked away with their hard-earned victory. The Misfit class's only group without points is Iruma and lead, while Asmodeus and Sabnock lead the scoreboard with 15,100 points after claiming a valuable flapple and all the points from the Dorodoro brothers. Surprisingly cooperative after witnessing Asmodeus and Sabnock's strength, the Dorodoro brothers acknowledge their defeat and even offer a handshake, hoping for a rematch to win back their sensei. A loud announcement signals the start of a new day. Some students are groggy from lack of sleep, while others are energetic and ready to continue. Iruma and Lee begin their morning with breakfast, and Iruma is stunned to realize he's been literally eating away their points, leaving them at 0. Lead wonders if they should aim for the legendary leaf, a mythical plant never captured by past competitors. Iruma, slightly overwhelmed, agrees to pursue the legend leaf and suggests they consult the magical beasts and plants for leads. Recalling Kamui's unique ability to communicate with any species, they decide to seek out Kamui and Kerali for help. However, upon finding them, Iruma and Lead are surrounded by magical beasts who treat Kerali like their queen. Kamui, ever the charmer, praises Kerali's beauty excessively and questions whether they should kick out the intruders. Kerali demands a tribute from Iruma and Lead for information about the legend leaf. Lead offers gossip about Elizabeth and Clara, and Kerali decides they must dance for her in girly outfits as payment. With no other options, Iruma and Lead don the outfits and perform a dance, impressing Kerali and the magical beasts. The beasts then reveal through song that the legend leaf doesn't actually exist. It must be grown from a seed in a vase. Kamui, seeing Iruma and Lead's confusion, helpfully writes down the song's lyrics for them. As Iruma and Lead head off to find the seed, the hosts buzz with excitement at the prospect of finally seeing the legend leaf this year. Meanwhile, the competition's intensity causes more students to forfeit, and even some teachers are worn out from rescuing students. Amory dives into the jungle to help, motivated by a desire to see Iruma. One of her subordinates reminds her of her own past performance and mentions Iruma's 0 points. They speculate that if Iruma can find the legend leaf, it could dramatically turn the tables, a feat even Amory didn't achieve last year. Jokingly, the subordinate suggests Iruma might even present Amory with a bouquet of legend leaves. In the forfeiter's tent, there's a buzz of support for the misfit class, with Asmodeus, Karali, and others gaining a fanbase. Sobas is seen placing bets on the favorites. When Amory confronts him, he points out Schneider and Jazz from the misfit class, who are relaxed and enjoying demon noodles at a distance, seemingly unfazed by the chaos around them. At least someone's having a noodle party while the rest of us are in the jungle gym, Amory muses with a mix of amusement and frustration. In the bustling world of magical misadventures, Jazz and Schneider found themselves chowing down on dragon noodles while betting among other dropouts. Amory, ever the curious one, popped up and inquired about their unusual pastime. The two, unfazed, nonchalantly admitted they were just enjoying their meal and placing bets. However, when Amory pressed about their sudden forfeit from the recent challenge, both Jazz and Schneider's faces drained of color quicker than a ghost sighting. You see, the duo had been scamming their way through Block 3 and were planning a swift relocation to avoid the wrath of Sergeant Furfur, who would have roasted them like marshmallows over a campfire if they lost. As they planned their next move, Jazz was suddenly struck by a piercing headache as if his brain decided to do a dance routine. Before he knew it, Jazz was surrounded by images of his least favorite person, his elder brother. And just when he thought it couldn't get worse, another copy appeared. It was like a bad family reunion with no escape. Jazz tried to calm himself, thinking it was just the effect of some bizarre plant. But his patience wore thin and he launched into action. However, as the mist cleared, his kick landed not on his brother but on Orbos, the second favorite. It turned out to be Orbos' bloodline ability, which forces a person to see their worst nightmare. Poor Jazz was disqualified for attacking another student, a clear violation of the rules. Jazz ended up in the dropout tent with Schneider, both victims of Orbos' cunning tactic to eliminate his competition. Schneider spilled the beans to Amory, revealing Orbos' strategy of targeting students from the misfit class, which had Amory wondering about Iruma's safety. Meanwhile, Iruma and Lee were on a scavenger hunt for clues to decode a song given by the beasts. Splitting up to cover more ground, Iruma stumbled into a basement that led him to a cave housing the legendary seed of a magical leaf. Exhausted from an all-nighter with Clara, Iruma was joined by Ollie, who cheered him on. Deep inside, they ran into Nafula, a first year trapped by the roots of the niggy green plant. Thanks to Nafula's, let's just say, unique aroma, monsters steered clear. Despite Ollie's protests, since Nafula was technically an enemy also after the legend leaf, Iruma, being the soft-hearted hero he is, decided to help. They soon found themselves in front of a temple with the seed just within reach. As Iruma grabbed the seed, a huge hand swung at him. But he dodged, impressing the monster with his sharp reflexes. The temple crumbled to reveal Toto, a Sphinx genie, and the seed's protector, who offered Iruma two choices: brute force or entertain him. After several failed attempts and seeing Toto's bored expression, Iruma remembered a hilarious manga, First Love Memory. Just mentioning the title got Toto all hyped up. Iruma and his friends put on a theatrical performance with Nafula's sign language adding a quirky twist. They managed to keep Toto entertained, earning the seed of beginning. As they were leaving, Iruma accidentally mentioned there was more to the story, causing Toto to demand the rest in exchange for keeping the seed. Toto, shockingly modern for a monster, even asked for Iruma's phone number to stay updated, a classic case of when ancient meets modern tech. And so, Iruma and his friends, weary but victorious, left with the magical seed and a new, unlikely friend who just might text them for the next volume's release date. As Iruma and Nafula made their way toward the festival's exit, Iruma noticed that Nafula's usually bothersome smell no longer affected him. He realized he might have become accustomed to it. This moment made Iruma reflect on his survival in the human world and how he ended up in the netherworld where he made so many friends. But as they progressed, Iruma's journey took a chilling turn when he suddenly saw images of his parents. Initially startled, he soon suspected it might be a trap. Iruma tried to confront the images bravely, but the shameless demands of his parents to return home unnerved him. The situation escalated when the image transformed into a monstrous creature that threw him off the edge of a cliff. As the mist surrounding the scene cleared, Nafula confronted Orbos and his minion, who had cast a powerful spell on Iruma. This spell ensured that Iruma would continue to suffer throughout the festival, even though his fall was merely accidental. Angered by this, Nafula started punching Orbos with her tiny hands, determined to protect her friend. Orbos, focused solely on targeting the misfit class, did not retaliate. Meanwhile, Iruma found himself on the ground, slowly regaining consciousness and recalling his fall. As he struggled to his feet, Asmodeus and Clara appeared, taunting him for his human frailties. This mockery was compounded when Amory and Calgo joined in, further breaking his spirit. Even Sullivan and Opera showed up, insisting on sending him back to the human world. Amidst these visions, a trauma monster continued its assault, driving Iruma to seek refuge behind a rock, paralyzed by fear and unable to move due to the overwhelming trauma. In his despair, Iruma lamented his loneliness, crying out for the friends he feared he had lost. Just then, Barbados appeared before him, urging him to gather his strength and confront his fears. Inspired by Barbados's encouragement, Iruma stood up, determined to face the monster. He remembered his archery training with Barbados, recalling how he had struggled with weak attacks until Barbados pushed him to improve his focus and technique. After numerous failed attempts, Iruma finally landed a fatal blow on a practice target, leading Barbados to instruct him to repeat the successful shot 100 times in various scenarios. Exhausted but skilled, Iruma had mastered archery. With renewed focus and determination, Iruma took up his bow, pulled back an arrow, and launched it at the trauma monster. As he released the arrow, tears streamed down his face, but his aim was true. With a single powerful shot, the monster dissolved into thin air. Relieved and exhausted, Iruma picked up a magic seed from the remnants of the monster and resolved to find his way out of this nightmarish scenario, eager to reunite with his friends and continue his journey in the netherworld. The third day of the Harvest Festival was in full swing, a challenging survival game that had many students exhausted and unable to hunt more magical beasts. However, some, like Asmodeus and Sabnock, still had plenty of energy. Asmodeus had already amassed a pile of melongators, and together with Sabnock, they adopted an aggressive strategy to accumulate points. After their success with the melongators, Asmodeus, Sabnock, and the Dorodoro brothers decided to move towards the rocky area, hoping to find more elusive beasts like the 100 Flapple. Meanwhile, Garp was doing exceptionally well, having scored 38 points by defeating powerful magical creatures. Carolee and Elizabeth were taking a different approach by using their charm to trick other students into giving up their points, gathering food ingredients with the help of beast monsters. With less than 2 days left in the festival, the competition was heating up. Caligo-sensei announced the interim scores. Asmodeus was leading with 21,800 points, followed by Sabnock with 18,600 points. The Dorodoro brothers each had 16,500 points. Carolee was not far behind with 19,200 points, and Kamui, Elizabeth, Clara, Orobas, Paisro, and Garp followed with their respective scores. The Harvest Festival, seen as a miniature version of the Netherworld, tested whether a demon could survive in the real Netherworld. The top scorer would earn the prestigious title of Young King. During the announcement, Caligo also mentioned a student with 0 points who was nowhere to be found. Asmodeus and Clara, reminded of their friend Iruma, recalled how they had missed meeting him because he was too busy practicing archery. They were determined to win and impress him. Deep in the forest, Iruma was trying to find his way to the surface when Ollie-san appeared and told him how he had saved him from falling and protected his precious beginning seed. Suddenly, Nafula-san showed up and wondered why Iruma wasn't using his demon wings to fly. Iruma explained he wasn't good at flying and was also nursing a hurt leg. Nafula had a plan and pulled out a branch of nigi-nigi greens, which could grow up to 30 meters with just a drop of water. After pouring water on the branch, it quickly grew and covered the entire rock. Iruma tried to climb but struggled due to his injured leg. Remembering a healing potion made from his blood, he dripped a drop on the branch, causing a massive sprout that shot up into the sky, drawing the attention of the entire jungle. Asmodeus, seeing the giant branch, instantly knew Iruma was behind this impressive feat. Iruma and Nafula finally made it to the top. Caligo-sensei, frustrated by the chaos, yelled through the microphone, but Iruma declared his determination to win. Meanwhile, Lead, who had split up earlier to find the vase of ending, had overcome a genie and acquired the vase worth 20,000 points. Imagining the popularity and admiration that would come with the title of Young King, Lead was suddenly jolted back to reality when the announcer revealed the vase's value. Hearing this, all the students, now aware of the vase's points, rushed to claim it. Lead, panicked and desperate to protect his prize, ran into Elizabeth. His heart sank as he knew she would do anything to steal the 20,000 points from him. The atmosphere at the Harvest Festival took a dramatic turn when the host announced an astonishing 20,000 points reward for a single coveted item. As Iruma and Nafula caught up with Lead, Iruma inquired about the elusive vase of ending. Lead, with tears streaming down his face, confessed that he had indeed found the vase, but Elizabeth had cunningly tricked him and absconded with it. Overcome with emotion, Lead dramatically threw himself onto Iruma, sobbing uncontrollably and labeling Elizabeth super mean, reminiscent of a classic soap opera villain. Lead then vividly described the encounter, painting a picture of how Elizabeth suddenly appeared following the announcement. She unleashed a barrage of insults, calling him short, weak, and a terrible flirt, essentially roasting him mercilessly. The confrontation ended with Lead knocked unconscious and the vase missing. Iruma, ever the critical thinker, doubted that the person who confronted Lead was the real Elizabeth, suspecting it might have been an illusion. Nafula chimed in, supporting this theory and suggesting that a plant monster might have been the real culprit behind the deceitful act. Unbeknownst to them, the true mastermind was Orbos, orchestrating events from the shadows. Determined to resolve the confusion, Iruma proposed that they should locate the real Elizabeth to clarify the misunderstanding. Meanwhile, Lead, donning his headphones, activated his bloodline ability known as Sensory Bandit, which allowed him to track down the locations of Elizabeth, Clara, and Carolee. He discovered them enjoying a leisurely spa day, indulging in a steamy bath while discussing the softness of each other's skin, a serene moment amidst the festival's chaos. Carolee had strategically placed guards at the bath's entrance to ensure their uninterrupted privacy. Lead, attempting to eavesdrop, hoped to overhear some strategic secrets, but Carolee was not one to discuss her plans during such a relaxing moment. Now aware of Elizabeth's location, Lead resolved to confront her directly once she and the others were dressed and out of the bath. As Carolee, Elizabeth, and Clara eventually emerged, refreshed from their bath, Carolee began to outline her strategy. She tasked Elizabeth with using her charm to seduce their enemies and pilfer their points. They agreed to split the stolen points among themselves, but Carolee revealed that her ultimate goal was not just the legendary leaf. She aimed to seize control of Pysro and Garp's castle. Pysro soon faced a dramatic ultimatum from Carolee: surrender the castle or prepare for battle. The choice felt akin to deciding between doing dishes or laundry, both unappealing chores. The students rallied, rejecting Lead's pragmatic suggestion to simply grab the points and flee. They were resolute in defending their home, even if it was just a temporary castle. Kamui, recognizing the gravity of the situation, stepped forward to rally the magical beasts. His motivational speech was so compelling it could have sold ice to Eskimos. Fired up, the beasts charged into battle. However, Garp wasn't about to let his castle fall easily. With a single mighty sweep, he knocked back most of the charging beasts. This display of strength left the onlooking girls swooning, sparking a hint of jealousy in Kamui. In response, Kamui called in the boss-class beasts, escalating the battle to new heights as the festival continued to unfold with thrilling unpredictability. In the midst of a fierce battle, the Beast Queen Carolee and the Castle King Pysro were locked in combat, each striving to overpower the other. Kamui's formidable word power clashed with Garp's wind sword, but the beast forces found it impossible to breach the robust defenses of Pysro's castle. Sensing a lull in the attack, Pysro learned from one of his soldiers that 6 of his comrades had fallen victim to Elizabeth's charm, seduced by her full love gauge and subsequently imprisoned by her. Impressed by the tactics of the Beast Kingdom, Pysro acknowledged their clever play. Meanwhile, Elizabeth, who was momentarily alone after Clara had embarked on her own adventure, was teasing the captured soldiers. Suddenly, Lead, Iruma, and Nafula appeared before her. Lead, unable to contain his emotions, loudly demanded Elizabeth express her true feelings. To his delight, she casually confessed her love for him, leaving Lead overjoyed. Lead then recounted to Elizabeth the mishaps that followed the loss of the vase. Nafula attempted to convey a message, but her words were lost on the group, leaving her frustrated by their misunderstanding. Just then, Kamui appeared, offering his assistance. Nafula managed to communicate to him the crucial information that Orbos was targeting only the misfit class. This revelation helped Iruma, Lead, and Kamui understand the gravity of the situation. It became apparent that Orbos, who had developed a reputation as a devout follower of a secondary religion due to consistently ranking second in tests, a position he never intended, harbored deep resentment towards the misfit class for always outperforming him. Determined to claim the first place in the Harvest Festival at any cost, Orbos was consumed by jealousy. As Kamui left to inform Carolee of the situation, Elizabeth suddenly remembered Clara's vulnerability, realizing she might be an easy target for Orbos. Despite Orbos' desire to win fairly, he was swayed by a friend into believing his deceptive tactics against the misfit class were justified. Lost in thought, Orbos encountered Clara, but his attention was abruptly diverted when a plant monster, disguised as Iruma, began to traumatize Clara by invoking painful past emotions. Clara, overwhelmed and crying, was on the verge of breaking down when the false Iruma moved towards her. Just then, a sharp object impaled the monster, revealing its true form as Iruma, standing at a distance with a bow, had shot it. Using his bloodline ability, Lead pinpointed Orbos' location. Iruma, aided by Carolee's magic beasts, made a swift move towards Clara. Struggling to concentrate, Lead passed the responsibility to Iruma, who climbed to a vantage point. With no time to spare, Iruma used his last feathered arrow and, gathering all his courage, he released it. The arrow flew true, piercing the monster and instantly neutralizing the threat, thereby rescuing Clara. Overcome with relief, Clara rushed to Iruma and embraced him, crying tears of joy. In that moment of vulnerability, Orbos emerged, exuding a menacing aura with a clear intention to eliminate Iruma. As he was about to strike, Asmodeus intervened with a powerful blow that sent Orbos flying several feet away, demonstrating his fierce loyalty and protective instinct towards his friend. After delivering a powerful blow to Orbos, Asmodeus Alice was disqualified for breaking the rules. Orbos smirked and mocked Asmodeus for his terrible mistake. But Asmodeus, with a stone-cold expression, told Orbos he got disqualified on purpose. He declared proudly that his only goal was to protect Iruma, who he aspired to be a halberd for. Asmodeus then gave Orbos a chilling final warning. If he ever touched Iruma or anyone from the Misfit class again, he'd be back to chop off Orbos' head. As Asmodeus was sent off to the forfeiter's tent, Iruma and Clara tried to intervene, praising his protective actions. Asmodeus, unfazed by the disqualification, urged Iruma to continue striving for the crown of the young king, a title Asmodeus believed Iruma truly deserved. Before heading to the tent, Asmodeus invited Iruma and Clara to celebrate at his house post-festival, showing his softer side. Meanwhile, Lead emerged from the bushes, teary-eyed, moved by the strong bonds of friendship he witnessed. They turned to confront Orbos for the vase, but he had already vanished. Dragged away by the same subordinate who had been feeding him sneaky plans, Orbos was left believing he couldn't win in his current state. However, his loyal minion had collected all the rare items needed for a victory, proving that sometimes the best minions are more like masterminds. Iruma and Lead, drained and low on mana, worried about how they would bloom the legendary leaf. Just then, Schneider emerged from the bushes, revealing he had orchestrated a plan to defeat Orbos and return the vase to Iruma where it belonged. From the forfeiter's tent, Jazz celebrated their cunning strategy. It turned out that after Jazz was disqualified, he and Alisor cooked up a plan to use trickery to their advantage. Schneider's earlier visit to the forest and the tower where Orbos reported finding the vase were all part of their elaborate ruse. Impressed by the mischievous nature of the Misfit class, Amory watched as the Dorodoro brothers and Sabnok tallied their final scores. In a humorous twist, Sabnok fell asleep mid-count, his score frozen at 45,500 points. The battle at the castle ended with the soldiers outlasting the beasts, who, tired and defeated, pleaded with Carolee to use them as points to win the festival. Carolee, ever the strategist, decided to win over the beasts' hearts instead, securing their loyalty and retreat from the castle. In gratitude, the castle defenders donated their points to Garp and Paisro, who each ended up with 32,300 points. As the festival drew to a close, Iruma and Lead focused on their final task, to bloom the legendary leaf. It was a race against time and fatigue, but with their friends rooting for them and a few tricks up their sleeves, they were determined to end the festival on a high note. As the harvest festival neared its end, Iruma and Lead were stumped on how to bloom the legendary leaf, even after combining the vase of ending and the seed of beginning. They thought simply bringing the two together would do the trick, but nothing happened. Then Lead recalled a lesson from Suzy Sensei, who created the forest and was overseeing the festival. She had once taught them a spell, Quan Quan, to make any plant bloom. Lead tried the spell, but to no avail. Suddenly, Nafula poured some liquid on the seed, making it shimmer. She urged Iruma and Lead to cast the spell together, but their lack of mana was a setback. Iruma wanted to use Ifrit mode, but Ollie-san warned him that using more mana could cause him to disappear. Ollie suggested borrowing mana from the surrounding demons. That's when Iruma noticed Clara emitting a strong mana field. With Clara's help, they almost got the leaf to bloom. Just as the leaf began to show signs of life, Iruma felt a strong demonic presence, but it quickly vanished. When he opened his eyes, the legendary leaf was in full bloom. The timer expired just at that moment, and attached to the vase, they found a peculiar demon, the legendary leaf itself, worth a whopping 100,000 points. As the students lined up to report their points, Jazz and Asmodeus, having forfeited, watched from the sidelines. All eyes were on Iruma and Lead as they emerged with the legendary leaf, catching everyone off guard with its unexpected appearance. Suzy and Balam Sensei confirmed it was indeed the legendary leaf. Nafula and Clara decided not to claim any points from it, leaving Iruma and Lead with 50,000 points each. However, when the results were announced, Orbos was at the top with 58,000 points. The crowd was stunned. As Orbos took the stage, he felt something was off. Then Jazz pointed out a mistake in the point calculation. The 20,000 points for the vase hadn't been included. After recalculating, Iruma and Lead were declared the final winners, pushing Orbos to third place. Relieved, Orbos congratulated the Misfit class and publicly apologized for his actions, gaining respect from his peers. Amory then approached Iruma, half expecting a bouquet of the legendary leaf. She also introduced Nafula as a new member of the student council, revealing that her participation was a key part of of unlocking the leaf. To everyone's surprise, the leaf suddenly spoke, humorously declaring itself made of vibes and looking quite silly. It then took off from the vase, grew in size, and exploded into a stunning firework display that lit up the sky, ending the festival with a literal bang and leaving everyone in awe of the magical spectacle. The legend leaf miraculously transformed the festival field into a mesmerizing display of blossoming trees, showering everyone with its stunning beauty. This unprecedented spectacle left even the usually unflappable Barbados visibly moved. Amidst the collective awe, Sullivan rushed to Iruma with a wide smile, enveloping him in a big, warm hug. He congratulated Iruma enthusiastically on his victory, marveling at the first time blooming of the legend leaf in the history of the festival. For the award ceremony that followed, Sullivan employed his magical prowess to transform Iruma and Lead's outfits into majestic royal attire. As darkness embraced the sky, the ranking ceremony commenced, proudly introducing Iruma and Lead as the winners. The duo was not only promoted to Dalit rank but also bestowed with the prestigious title of Young King, marking a significant milestone in their journey. Caligo took the stage to continue with the announcements, upgrading Orbos to Gimel rank and subtly asking him to stay back for a discussion, hinting at deeper, more serious matters that needed addressing. Sabnok, who had missed part of the festivities due to being knocked out, was also surprisingly promoted to Gimel rank, much to his astonishment upon waking. The Dorodoro brothers, Paisro, Garp, Karali, and Elizabeth all received promotions for their commendable performances throughout the festival. However, Asmodeus, despite his heroic efforts, was ineligible for promotion because he had forfeited by attacking another student, a move that, while bold, breached the festival's rules. As the ceremony concluded, the atmosphere shifted to a more celebratory tone. The tutors began to revel with their students. Furfur, always keen on a laugh, teased his students, which brought about both laughter and playful groans. Iruma, meanwhile, was playfully chided by Barbados for not adhering to her advice earlier in the festival. Despite this, her eyes twinkled with pride over his accomplishments. The festivities continued as all the first-year students congregated in the hall for a grand celebration party, featuring an array of various cuisines. Sabnok, now fully awake, took it upon himself to introduce the Dorodoro brothers to Balam Sensei, much to their confusion as they realized the futility of their previous conflicts over misunderstandings. Orbos, on the other hand, roamed the event somewhat bewildered, his memory of the festival's events a blur due to the mischief of a subordinate who had tampered with his memory. Meanwhile, Iruma and Lead, dressed as royalty, sat on thrones on the stage as the celebrated festival winners, flanked by Asmodeus and Clara. The entire Misfit class joined them on stage, ready to stir up even more fun and chaos in their typical fashion. Paisro, now immensely popular among the girls, relished in his newfound fame. In a quieter corner, Caligo shared a drink with Balam Sensei, only to be interrupted when Iruma summoned him as his contracted demon. Caligo's reaction was a mix of fury and resignation. After all, what could a teacher do when called upon by his student king in such a public and binding manner? The night wound down with Clara and Asmodeus accompanying Iruma home. At the gate, Opera was there to greet them, and inside, Sullivan eagerly awaited, ready to welcome Iruma back after a victorious and truly unforgettable festival. The teachers and instructors gathered for a lively party, hosted by the ever-gracious Robin Sensei. The ambience was filled with anticipation and chatter as Susie and Robin meticulously examined the array of dishes laid out for the evening, while Blashenko Sensei shared his woes about managing his particularly unruly class. Notably absent from the gathering were Furcus and Raim, who were tied up with duties elsewhere, and Orias, Caligo, and Balam Sensei, who were yet to make their appearance. As the party progressed, Robin shared a surprising piece of trivia with the attendees. Orias doesn't drink, and despite repeated invitations, Caligo typically never attends these social events. However, bucking the trend this year, Caligo made a surprising entrance, accompanied by Balam Sensei. The crowd was pleasantly taken aback, and seizing the moment, Robin offered Caligo a drink. When informed that the bill for the evening was covered, Caligo, much to Robin's astonishment, ordered the most expensive drink on the menu. The evening took another interesting turn when Momonoki Sensei's grandfather attempted to prevent her from sitting next to any men. Robin, playing the perfect host, swiftly intervened and seated her next to Caligo Sensei. Momonoki Sensei, who harbored a not-so-secret crush on Caligo, blushed deeply. She shared with those nearby that Caligo had once been her mentor, a fact confirmed by instructor Dantalian Dolly, Caligo's own mentor. Dolly Sensei reminisced about Caligo's transformation from a distant and stern teacher to one who now sees the Misfit class almost as his best friends, much to Caligo's embarrassment. The conversation soon shifted to Iruma, prompting a visible reaction from Caligo. His temper flared, but he calmed down when Dolly Sensei offered a heartfelt apology. Dolly Sensei then proceeded to praise the Misfit class's achievements, including their unlocking of the Royal One, which left the crowd in awe. However, the mood shifted slightly when Dolly-sensei gravely recalled the sacred oath of teachers at Babels, which promised severe repercussions for anyone who dared harm their students, a principle that Caligo recently embodied in his actions. As the evening was drawing to a close, Dolly-sensei stirred up some excitement by announcing a game that Caligo unexpectedly won, earning him a golden statue of Sullivan. Meanwhile, Acho, a secretive member of the Cult of Second, discreetly reported back to his master, Ball, about the misfit class's rising potential and Iruma's true identity as a human. Intrigued, Ball plotted to leverage this information to his advantage, much to the delight of his associate, Amy. As the party wrapped up, Balam, Caligo, and Momonoki were among the first to leave, leaving Robin to handle the aftermath of the celebration, which included a few inebriated teachers. This added a humorous note to the end of an eventful evening, as Robin navigated the challenges of tidying up after a group of spirited and somewhat tipsy educators. When Iruma asked Sullivan for something he wanted, it was a touching moment because it was the first time his grandson had made such a request. Later, Iruma visited Leeds' house and they started playing games together on Iruma's new gaming console. Leeds' room was full of video games, and as they played, Lead got curious and asked Iruma about his type of girls. Lead even tried to show Iruma a secret book, but Iruma wasn't interested. Suddenly, Leed's blocked room door opened, and his elder sister entered, annoyed by the noise. She gave Lead a scolding and then introduced herself to Iruma as Shaq Shaky. Shaky started flirting with Iruma, especially after learning he was the Chair Demon's grandson. Lead had to intervene to protect his friend from his sister's advances. Later, Iruma thanked Lead for his help during the Harvest Festival, but when Iruma accidentally referred to Lead as his little brother, it sparked a playful argument over who was the elder brother. The next day, Iruma and Amory attempted to cook together, much to Opera's dismay. They made a mess in the kitchen, prompting Opera to step in and teach them how to cook properly. With his guidance, they finally managed to bake some cookies, and Amory gifted her first batch to Iruma as a token of appreciation for winning the Harvest Festival. Despite their mishaps in the kitchen, Iruma and Amory enjoyed their time together. However, Opera put his foot down when they tried to make more dishes the next day, signaling the end of their culinary adventures for the time being. Sullivan treats Barbados to a meal as a thank you for her hard work in training Iruma and helping him win the Harvest Festival. Even considering her as powerful as the members of the 13 Crowns, Barbados, initially formal, recalls her rivalry with someone from the 13 Crowns and starts eating faster as her annoyance grows. Sullivan encourages her to eat to her heart's content, reminding her of how proud he is of Iruma's progress. Barbados reminisces about the first time Sullivan praised her and gifted her a bow tie. As the party ends, Sullivan reveals his true demon form, prompting Barbados to snap back to attention, kneeling before him. He informs her that the next 13's dinner has been cancelled due to several capable demons going missing, likely orchestrated by the Musashino crew. Despite Barbados' revelation of her ultimate weapon, Sullivan insists on focusing on education and polishing students with potential. Sullivan tells her that Iruma is human, leaving Barbados stunned. When Iruma enters the room, Barbados decides to take him as her student regardless of his species. Asmodeus hosts a celebration party for Iruma, but Clara's antics lead to some amusing moments, especially when she unwittingly scares herself. Asmodeus treats them to a large cake and shows them around his room, where they encounter his pet Gorgon snake. During a moment alone, Iruma reflects on his friends and decides to express his gratitude to them. With some encouragement from Amu, he shares his appreciation without revealing his human identity. And with that, our tale comes to a close, leaving us with laughter and fond memories of the misadventures of Iruma and his friends. Filled with laughter, friendship, and the boundless potential of a young SS-rank demon's dreams. As soon as the clock hits 5 p.m., the execution cannonball captain orders everyone to stop. After the exciting match, the team praised Pixie's performance, as he was a genius yet again today. Hearing the praises always makes the execution cannonball captain feel like their days really come to an end. With that, everyone decides to meet tomorrow. The next morning, Iruma is all ready to go to the academy. Outside his place, he greeted Clara and Asmodeus, and the trio headed to the school. Upon arriving at school, Asmodeus hands Iruma and Clara some detection warding glasses, so they don't stand out. Later on, everyone was introduced to the demon school Babels and the king's classroom, called the Royal One, which is occupied by the misfit class. Iruma and his classmates have been given a task that puts the Royal One on the line. The moment they enter the classroom, there is the Babel's special class order on a loudspeaker that the misfit class must all become Dalit rank before becoming second years. If they fail, they will immediately be ejected from the Royal One. The students have one more chance to advance in rank, and that is the music festival. In the music festival, choirs, bands, and plays, anything can be used as long as one can enjoy the sound. Whoever is able to charm the audience the most wins. This is an oral battle between the 6 classes. The Misfit class is determined to win this, especially since this is the last chance to reach rank 4 to avoid getting booted from Royal 1. So far in the class, the ones who are rank 4 are Iruma, Az and Leiden. The ones who are rank 3 are Clara, Sabro, Schneider, Jazz, Gaemon, Pichero, Kamui, and Karori. The only rank 2 is Elizabetta. Luz yells that his master plan is to help Elizabetta stand out like crazy so she can get double promoted, keeping in mind promoting the ones who are rank 3. Iruma, however, receives the weird feeling that they are forgetting something. In that instant, Kalego comes in and yells at everyone to be quiet, despite Lyde telling him they are strategizing how to make Elizabetta stand out. Kalego then asks about the other student, which catches everyone off guard. Kalego explains to everyone that there is one more person in this class, and he points to that person which everyone looks to see. Just as they notice him, he immediately disappears. Iruma recognizes him as Person So, and Kalego tries to get everyone to remember that they had another classmate. Sure enough, So had been a member since the flying race, even participating in the cannonball execution, the acquisition of Royal 1, and the final exam. Nevertheless, now that the others know his presence, they try to figure out how to make him stand out alongside Elizabetta. Kalego explains that it is going to be difficult, as Usai's bloodline magic is called detection warding, which makes him by nature a demon that absolutely can't stand out, leaving everyone shocked. Curious, the group tries to ask Soy about his hobbies. Scared that he might disappear again, they shrug it off. Other than that, for all the members of the Misfit class to advance to rank Dalit, hard work from the 2 members in rank Bet is absolutely necessary. Just then, the group decides to make a presentation to convince Person to be the center of their performance at the music festival. With all the motivation in her heart, Clara performs for Soe, explains that the music festival is all about drums, dancing, and celebration. Like a big carnival, Soe and him, if he likes anything like that, it will be there. However, to her surprise, Soe doesn't even blink or move a bit after the lively performance. She gets upset, clings to Iruma, and leaves. Then Sabnok steps forward, admitting that music isn't the only motivation, and acting reaches the audience's heart faster. He talks about a dramatic fight scene with the Demon King. He wants to play the demon in the drama. However, Lude reminds him that they need Person to be the center. Standing aside, Asmodeus is annoyed, as they cannot even succeed in convincing him. Fully motivated, he plans to risk his very life to see this task through for Iruma. He tells Iruma to not worry, claiming to explain to Person everything in great detail about how important the music festival is, and how brilliant Iruma is as well. The moment Asmodeus steps forward, he gets enraged since Person doesn't even acknowledge his presence and disappears. Livid, he tries to attack the boy, but everyone holds him back. Seeing Az rambling about Iruma as usual makes Jazz want to fade away as well. Instantly, Liu suggests they form a band. Since this is a music festival, they will be musicians, and Elizabetta and Person perform as dual vocalists. It will be flashy and guaranteed to be awesome. Everyone likes the idea a lot. This time even Person looks at the group with slight interest. Taking this as an opportunity, everyone starts begging Person to help them, though this time he disappears completely. Everyone gets so frustrated by this hide and seek that they decide to tie him to the bed next time. Or maybe use some rough spell against him. Abruptly, they hear someone running and chase after him, except Iruma, who goes back into the classroom. He feels someone nearby. To his surprise, Person appears again briefly. Iruma sits next to him and assures him that he doesn't want to force him or anything. If Person wants to join, great. If not, that's fine too. After hearing this, Person finally speaks. He confesses that he is really panicked, so he wants some time. He understands that the class wants him to be with them, but it is too sudden for him. He admits that he is an introvert, and it is very hard for him to cope with everything, or even have a conversation, though he talks like a meteor, making Iruma realize that he is just an introvert who talks a lot in private. After a long conversation, he vanished again. Later, the class returns and asks Iruma what happened. Iruma explains that he just talked to Soe, who was being super talkative. Still, he believes Person won't be able to stand out. Everyone becomes sad, thinking that Person looked a bit interested in the music festival. From afar, Person watches them and walks away, thinking that this is the very first time he has talked to someone for so long other than his family. Back at his home, Person's father reminds him that they are demons who are never to draw attention to themselves. Their bloodline is detection warding. They are not to stand out, not to cause a commotion, and not to be noticed. They are an honorable, ancient clan of solitary demons. Thus, they must never forget that pride in their every action. On the outside, they excel in the development of detection warding magical apparatuses, and in the shadows they serve in the netherworld by carrying out their spy duties. They are neutral bats that are never allowed to interfere. As they speak, the father warns Soy to never reveal where his older brother disappeared to because his ability was too powerful. His father believes he will do his brother's part in supporting the family. Later in his room, Soy is annoyed as he doesn't want to live as a hidden spy forever. He wants a normal life, to get married, and even jokes about painting his wings gold to attract a girl. In that instant, Soy's mother enters the room and advises him to play music with a trumpet if he needs to express himself. In the evening, he plays music. Everybody at the school talks about the mysterious musician. The misfit class also hopes that the musician joins them so that they may win the festival. Person continues playing the music secretly as he regrets that he can't participate because of the rules of his family. Iruma, on the other hand, finds Person playing. Iruma is awestruck. He never expected Soy to play the trumpet this beautifully. He was very surprised and insisted that he should come with them. He refuses initially, pretending that he needs to go home and sleep. However, Iruma grabs him and pushes him to the ground. At that moment, both boys fall on the ground. Apologizing to Soy, Iruma admits that he has no idea what Soy wants. He knows that his family doesn't allow him to stand out, so he is sure that must have felt troubling with everyone asking for his help. Hence, Iruma thought he should push Soy if he really doesn't want to participate. Yet just now when he saw him performing with the trumpet, his whole point of view changed. He was just so moved. Iruma knows he told Soya that he doesn't need to stand out at the front. Still, disregarding all of his circumstances, Iruma wants to be selfish, and this time he genuinely wants Soya to be the center of attention and perform for them on the stage at the music festival. So imagines standing in front of the crowd while everyone is enjoying his performance. Thinking about all of it, Soy decides to hide his face and just showcase his voice. Upon hearing it, Iruma starts screaming with happiness. In the meantime, Soy is shocked that he actually agreed to it, as he should have never said yes to something this risky. As the misfit class was given a trial to reach Delet rank before becoming second years, or they must leave Royal 1, Iruma and the others set out to attempt the advancement exam, the music festival. At night, Iruma takes everyone to the school's roof. It is rare for him to come up with something like this, so everyone is excited. Jazz wonders what they are going to do here at this hour. In that instant, they all hear the beautiful sound of the trumpet. Iruma asks Asmodeus to give them light. Thus he uses his powers and lights up all the night lamps. This way everyone could see a figure playing the trumpet. After noticing, everyone realizes that it is none other than Person who has been playing this beautiful music lately. Afterwards, they all gather in the room, and Person shows himself finally. Soy hides behind Iruma, as the others showered him with attention earlier, after realizing that the mysterious musician is none other than Soy himself. Everyone apologizes to him for reacting so excitedly, promising to not make him feel uncomfortable from now on. Just then, Soy whispers something in Irimer's ear, leaving everyone curious. Irimer tells everyone that Person is feeling really nervous right now. Thus, Lade volunteers himself to hear whatever Person has to say, and this conversation will be one-on-one in order to avoid tension. Upon hearing it, Soy steps forward and, like a tape recorder, starts telling Lode about his bad habits and his routine. How Lode brings lewd books to school, leaves his uniform lying around, and stares at Elizabeth too much during class. All of these things make Lode speechless, as he never expected Soy to know all of it. This makes everyone understand that Soy is quite the talker. After that, Soy calls Alloser and admits that he knows he wants to be a device mixer with a girl from another school. He went by himself because Furcus's daughter invited him. Hearing this, everyone was stunned due to the fact that they thought Alloser was not interested in device mixers. With that, Soy reveals that Sabnok spends the night in the Royal One with permission. Additionally, Asmodeus secretly takes pictures of Iruma and Clara at times. These revelations cause literal chaos, and at this point the girls are getting scared that their secrets might also get revealed. However, Soy is a gentleman and he is not going to violate a girl's privacy. Though everyone is scared to death as they finally come to the conclusion that Soy was always there in their class the whole time, and are aware of all the things they do. At the same time, Jazz is pretty impressed by Person, understanding why his lung capacity is able to deeply captivate everyone. He is ranked Bet, but with his Person abilities, he will be of huge help at the music festival. Moments later, Soy clarifies that he has two conditions for participating in the music festival. Firstly, he will be participating with sound only. He won't show himself, and secondly, they won't reveal that he is the one playing the music. If everyone agrees to those terms, Soy will be participating with them. That being said, the whole class goes quiet. This makes Soy wonder if he said this at the wrong time. He regrets speaking like this, as he was finally able to have fun conversations with everyone. He believes he got their hopes up, saying he will participate just to knock them back down in despair. At this point, Soy wants to disappear, feeling guilty and ashamed. Just as he was overthinking everything, the whole class started approaching him with grins on their faces, as these conditions got them more fired up, because moving up to Dalit without showing the face is more thrilling. In that particular moment, it dawns on him that this whole class is abnormal, and that is just the kind of demons they all are. They are okay with these conditions and are ready to win and move up to Dalit. Just as Person takes a sigh of relief, a professor comes on the roof, scolding everyone. The whole class starts running. As they all are running away, so he reflects on how absurd this class is. Yet he enjoys their company. On a different day after school, with 4 weeks left until the music festival, Azizel Ameri informs Ron of Lomier and Amsi Nafra that because it is the student council's responsibility to make sure the school functions properly, she will be tasking the two of them with reviewing the first year's music festival performances. While Nafra is happy to do so, Lumiere immediately refuses, citing his first reason is that the task isn't glorious enough, especially after doing so much paperwork. His second reason is that he can't stand Nafra's stench, causing Nafra to get angry at him. Ameri advises Lumiere that this could be his chance to interact with the students and make a name for himself. Thinking of it as a parade, he accepts her request and departs with Nafra. Amar muses how easy Lumiere is while thinking about what kind of performance Iruma will put on, and after fantasizing about him in various outfits doing various performances, she states he would look good in all of them. Lumiere and Nafra start by visiting Class A, with Nafra informing everyone via sign that they came to interview. The students of Class A are doing a song recital with lyrics based on myths and fairy tales from the demon world. They believe they have a chance of winning, as Oribus Coco has a beautiful voice. Lumiere, however, yells that their idea is lame and they need to make a bigger impact and pay attention to smaller details, all the while filling their room with balloons, roses, and large books about himself before leaving with Nafra, who holds a sign, apologizing for all of it. Their next stop is Class B, where they see the students performing a play. Lumiere comments that the play is boring and they should add twists and development, such as the princess fusing with a beast or burning down the castle. He leaves them with his props as Nafra once again holds up a sign of sorry. In Class C, the two see the students are divided between those who want to play rock music and those who want to play classical music. Lumiere directs their attention with his harp performance and has them tied up, torturing them with his annoying performance. Just like that, he continues his torture in every class, traumatizing everyone, before Zog and Johnny Western and Kamaris Quitchilite come into Ameri's office to report that Lumiere and Nafra are causing too much trouble for the first years. To their surprise, Ameri is completely okay with it. When they inquire, she states that this is the student's chance to interact with Lumiere due to his usual reluctance, and that the reason Lumiere is allowed to do as he pleases is because she believes he knows what he is doing. She reminds her subordinates about how around a year ago Lumiere led his class to victory during the music festival, and because she considers him the one who carved defeat into her academic record for the first time, she sees him as good inspiration for the first years, as he is charismatic even without his bloodline magic. Despite her wondering what kind of performance the first years will put on after being exposed to him, her subordinates report they are receiving a lot of complaints, but she already expected them. Finally, Lumiere and Nafra arrive at Royal 1 to check up on the misfit class, but are left extremely shocked when they see everyone except Iruma lying on the ground exhausted and bruised, which terrifies the two. Iruma explains that they were just discussing what they'd do for the music festival. They were thinking of ideas where everyone in class would stand out without Person being in the spotlight. At that time, Asmodeus decides to use his flames. He plans to throw his fireballs and all the guys need to dodge them. The guys who dodge this will be backup dancers to the girls singing while Person plays his trumpet. Though this idea is kind of sick, as the guys cannot keep dodging it, and that is just going to look like hell. When all the boys oppose the idea, Karori gets mad at them, as standing on stage is not child's play. Instantly Person disappears, while Karori and Asmodeus are ready to torture the class. As Asmodeus strikes the fireball, Karori promises to cool any burns with her ice facade skill. Just like that, the torture began, and now in the present, everyone is unconscious on the ground. Upon hearing it, Lumiere announces that the misfit class will not be doing a presentation. Having said that, Lude begs him to wait, and even the others immediately wake up. After settling down, Lumiere goes through misfit class's ideas, which include Devi Mixer, Q Demon King Play, Choir, and Band. He calls all these things drab. He believes there is absolutely nothing of substance. He advises them to not go for something popular, or it will make them no different from the others. He screams at them, commanding them to show off how much more superior their desire is to their opponents. He states how demons who truly enjoy themselves are worthy of being on that stage. Hearing him lecture them, Iruma realizes that Lumiere is absolutely right. As the 13 of them are together, Iruma wants them all to do something together, maybe coordinate their outfits or anything interesting. After a brief pause, Karori announces that there is one presentation that will work. It is elegant, flashy, and insanely hard. She is talking about the forbidden dance in the Demdoll world. There is an evolved form where the group forms a demi-doll group, and 6 of them dance completely in sync. It is called the Hell Dance. Iruma likes the idea, but then it dawns on him that the 6 of them will have to dance. Even Jazz is panicking after thinking about it. Demons are absolutely terrible at concentrating, so for them to be forced to dance choreography completely in sync with a bunch of other demons is unimaginable torture. The only ones to ever pull it off are Karori and another demon. Even 6 together failed, so it is insane to think that 13 could do it. Basically, the Hell Dance won't be perfect unless everyone is perfectly in sync. If even a single demon is off for even a second, it is unbearably pathetic. But because this class is insane, they decide to go for it. They plan to not worry about the impossible now, as high risks come with high returns. With a smirk, Lumiere wishes them luck for their Hell Dance, as it is evident that the class has decided what they are going to do at the music festival. That concludes the anime recap. As always, if you enjoyed, let me know down below and I'm out.